What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Cyto Combine. It is the final day of this long 3-week long online portion of the Combine. It's going to be the final set of matches that determines who is going to be heading to the boot camp in California. And we have got ourselves some banger matchups between two sets of 5 players who have shown us so much throughout the Combine so far. My name's Gordo. I'm joined by TDS on the broadcast tonight. TDS, 3 more games in the online portion of the Combine.
Yeah, pretty much 3 more games is what separates these players actually from being selected to the actual live portion and then the remainder of what's left. But to think about all the process that has come through, obviously you have to take into account all of what these players have played, not only here, but obviously in the rest of the tournaments that are still going on in the Tier 3 environment and all of that as well. And I feel like that not better showcase than to what some of these players have already achieved. I think at the very least for me, from what I've seen, the players that I've been able to notice the most when looking at some of the players that are going to be playing tonight, I think particularly Ariana and Fi Mini have been really, really good so far for me in what they have been able to show. I think Enthralled as well has gone against really strong AD carries, and he has come on top in a lot of situations and actually played really nicely as well. And then Protos, I feel like I have been surprised quite a bit, not only with his playstyle, but some of the pool that he has shown so far. So there's a lot of dynamics here that have been great to see, and it's exciting to try and notice these players going forward, not only in the side of Combine, but what the future holds for them as well.
Yeah, Protos going to be coming in as a rookie into the NACL in 2026, having just qualified with Apex Mission Impossible. Very excited to see him here. These are placeholder bans, by the way. Don't get too crazy about the Malzahar and Fizz taken off the board. It does look like these players have leaned a little bit more into the ban 1 in the first phase, ban 1 in the second phase meta, as it's going to be the
Hopefully
Wukong
smarter.
and the Azir as the 2 valid bans taken thus far. Reminder that each of these teams do have 1 flex pick available to them, so going to be on the lookout to see what that pick is and if it appears and where they want to allocate it.
Exactly. They have a choice here of where they want to try and throw. Victor pick on his side. That being said, I do agree. I like the 1-1 ban because it does give you that slight room to play around with. You get one struck mat away, one strong champion on your side, and that way you can see quite a bit of some of these players. Team A already, as we have seen with the draft, a lot of Wombo already drafted. You have the Jarvan, Orianna, and Rumble combo, all Prezard champions that want to try and blow up a certain objective that is standing still or doesn't have a lot of tools to escape. On the other side, I feel a little bit more skirmishy focus, a little bit more control of an area, and try and play the long fights as much as possible. As the remainder bands are going to come through, no AD carry or support yet picked. Really interesting that we have a first round picks that do not include any AD carry or support. It's typically much more support focused, and we may see a bit more focus towards support bands since it's still unpicked here.
Yeah, and I do want to call out actually one of the flex picks has already come on through. It's the Victor for Shoji. Victor not actually on the week 3 champion pool list. So feeling with the absence of the Azir that the Victor is going to be the best choice available into the Orianna. Curious to see how Shochi's going to be able to pilot this matchup. I would think on paper, you're much happier getting an Orianna, at least in the current meta, especially when you do get to set up this kind of hot pot combo. You got the Jarvan, you got the Rumble already drafted for your side as well. Definitely want to see this Victor shoving the lane, getting a little bit of support from the Xin Zhao to make sure that it can hit its first upgrades and try to keep this Orianna down throughout some of the mid-game spikes where that Jarvan-Ori combo can be so powerful. Curious to watch what that top side looks like for Team B. That said, they now get first crack at their bot lane of choice. So looking at that Neeko, that is a classic pick for Protoss, and they're going to be happy to snap it up for him.
Yeah, able to get the Neeko here. Also, technically taking it away from the other side because that was a combo potential on the making with the Neeko, and I think the Neeko there would have just added so much there. Now, the Bard and the Caitlyn trying to have a lot of control for the bot side. I'm not against it just because the Caitlyn Neeko duo can also be really overbearing sometimes, and that can be difficult to try and deal with if you give up the Caitlyn as well. And it's the Ezreal instead, maybe for a little bit of safety, a little bit more relocation potential. We're talking about the Wombo potential that the Jarvan, Orianna, and the Rumble bring here. So having the Ezreal to be able to self-build by itself and move around as much as possible can be really ideal for the side of Team B. I still do like the idea that Team A is bringing here, pretty straightforward with the combos and the way that you can throw it out, as that's a 6 to close it out. So it is going to be more than likely a 6 in the bot lane. It has great wave clear, but it has the problem that we were mentioning about the mobility. You're going to be stuck. If you get trapped by the Jarvan, you're kind of stuck already in a position where you're about to die. So he has to be really, really, really sure about his positioning and where he wants to try and throw the bombs out, because if not, he's just going to get collapsed and killed immediately.
Yeah, that's going to be the lookout for Enthralled here. Enthralled, no stranger to shifting around to some of the mages in the bot lane and stuff, right? He was on that famous Ducky Getters team at the end of 2024 that swapped around roles quite frequently. I mean, they would move around Hiccup and Rough Beans and Enthralled all over the place to playing. He would play the Senna support alongside Rough Beans on a marksman, or they would move Hiccup over to mid lane to play some kind of enchanter over there. So there's a lot of flexibility on that team. Enthralled going to get to show a little bit of that here as he plays a double mage bot lane alongside Protoss, another player who's going to be no stranger to playing some of the more off-the-wall supports. I am curious to see a really lane-dominant focus out of Sushi and Manui piloting this Caitlyn and Bard. Feels like that's a little off theme of what they would normally go for. Traditionally, I think of these guys as, I think of Manui is certainly a player that wants to get involved in roam around the map. He's going to be able to do that on the Bard, but I think of Sushi is a little bit more of like a weak-sided scaling player, but you're definitely going to want to make sure to play around him and make sure that you get the push going for this Caitlyn, that you can headshot away those plates, and that you can get the early advantages that the Caitlyn brings to the table.
This is one of those instances where I think it's a little bit focused on how Cryra will play it out here, because Team A has a lot of control on the laning phase when you look at it. You have push by the bot lane with the Caitlyn Bard, you have push in the top lane with the Rumble. Can be contested a little bit of times, but typically the Rumble should have the push control, and then in the mid lane, the same story here until level 6 or until the level up on the laser. You kind of have a lot of control early on the Orianna, so this could open up so much space for the Jarvan to just try and go into the enemy jungle as much as possible, and even just try and set up different attempts at ganking or dives because of the control that they provide for themselves. This also could turn into early objectives, and if you get early control of objectives, early dragon stacking, early grub stacking, Caitlyn is such a bothersome champion when you have to deal with multiple grubs pushing into your face or trying to go into an objective with the Caitlyn traps on top of it. So it can be a really good setup for the side of Team A, and kind of difficult to try and get in immediately from Team B, because one thing that they are also lacking is a straightforward engage. They have good engage tools, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Public Execution and the Nico Ultimate can be really good tools to try and get on top of people. The problem is that it's kind of telegraphed to a degree, and it's not really point and click or somebody that it's going to be able to pick on someone immediately. Like, you can evade those abilities quite effectively, and the Nico, as long as you keep tabs on her, you can kind of play around her as well. So the engage needs to be really on point from Team B, and if not, it can really get messed up immediately.
Definitely. They do have a couple of tools to be able to do it. I's going to be on Protos to be able to find those big Pop Blossom engages with the Proto Belt, as well as Hoarder, who is going to be a player that you trust to be aggressive and try to snipe out folks with the Public Execution. You can also rely on Munchie to be able to find Wind Becomes Lightning, get big dash angles in on that. So they have a few different tools
Ideally.
to be able to play through. And if they are the ones who get control over an area first, I also do really like the harass and the poke potential they bring to the table. They have the Tangle Barbs from the Nico, and then they also just have this harassment at long range from both Ziggs and Victor that are going to be difficult to deal with this sort of team composition from Team A, right? They don't kind of have the
Yeah.
short cooldown, reliable harass. They don't have the ability to really sustain through it. And it's kind of hard for them to do anything other than go all in, hard pull the trigger with the Jarvan and the Orianna combo, or finding some kind of tempered fate to enable that very same combo. I think you're completely spot on when you say you got to look at Kryra this game. We were talking a little bit before stream started. I think Kryra is one of the universally most acclaimed prospects right now in the North American scene. I would personally say I think he's the most valuable prospect all around at this current stage in time. If any LCS orgs were signing talent before they are actually running them in LCS at this stage in time, I would think Kryra would be a major priority. If there were academy programs out there, I would think Kryra would be a major priority. Not necessarily the case, but nonetheless, if I were a betting man, if I were going to stake some claim on who's going to make it eventually, who's going to be successful eventually, I think Kryra would be near the top of my list.
Yeah, and with most recent news, if not in an A, there's probably a Fnatic Academy or G2 Academy that steals it from us. So that could end up happening as well. But yeah, it's the value that Kryver does bring here. And I do think that as long as you give him tools to try and play around the game, you're going to see a lot of action coming from him. That's why I want to see how Manchi will react as well. Because we were talking about the laning control that Team A has. Team B is going to be a lot of a pretty big reactionary in that sense. And I think that Munchie's way of trying to play it out against Jarvan that will move around and have a lot of tools to try and just invade him, it's going to be fun seeing that sort of interaction. I'm kind of more on the Kryra side here because I do think that if you have control of the lanes and then a jungler that can invade comfortably or can have a lot of impact early on, it's going to be difficult on the enemy jungler as well. But seeing that dynamic, it's going to be at the very least fun and can show us a lot of what Munchie is able to bring forward as well for a team here, going against one of the top players, quote unquote.
For sure, for sure. Well, eyes on Kryra for this game number one. This early game Jarvan, a lot of power to influence in the early stages, especially against some of these immobile characters that are drafted here. The early Victor pick decided on as the best option available into the Orianna. I mean, I think that's the probably biggest flaw in this draft, if you want to call it that. Now, combine things, right? Is it even a flaw? Is this a counter pick that Shochi wants? Is it a deliberate test of Shochi to say, hey, how are you going to be able to perform on this sort of matchup? What do you play into Azir, or what do you play into Orianna without Azir, given that the Azir is banned away by Team B? These are the sorts of things that are in the minds of the coaches and are not really for us out here to know. So not a lot of point in critiquing draft in combine games, is the point I'm getting at here. But we have to see how the players are going to be able to perform with the chips that they're given, right? That's the whole point of Week 3's pool-based format, limiting down to several core meta picks and seeing how the players are going to be able to perform when they maybe don't necessarily have access to all the flexibility in the world, and they get a little bit more of a taste of what a competitive structure where people may be more dead set focused on some key meta picks compared to otherwise. So it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on here. This is where Team B allocate their flex selection as well for old Shochi in the mid lane. So a lot on his shoulders here to be able to perform on this Victor and show that, hey, I can still come up and perform even when one of the key mages of the meta is banned away, and the other is available for the other team.
Yeah, also I wanted to mention as well because I think Caitlyn also is one of the flex picks, if I'm not wrong here, because I was trying to check the AD carry pool
Caitlyn is.
and I just see the Caitlyn, so I think it is also used there.
You're correct.
I,
Yeah.
so yeah, so each team using their flex picks in different manners. I'm I'm also interested in seeing how that dynamic works, right? Because we've seen this before as well. I think it was on Sunday in the first game where we saw the flex pick on one side going for the AD carry and on the other side for the support. And so far, at the very least, based on that, the AD carry flex pick worked out quite nicely. And I do think that in the current meta, finding those specific tools inside of the AD carry pool to try and respond to the more meta picks could end up working out quite nicely. Obviously, Caitlyn, I would argue, more prevalent in the meta than some of the other flex picks that we could end up seeing, but I do think that it does fit on the idea that maybe the AD carry is where you really need to find those alternatives, because it's a pretty straightforward pool that we have, and trying to go against it can end up working out for your team much better. Because if you get it banned away, then some of those tools may become a little bit obsolete in comparison, and I think that's a fun idea to try and see from the AD carries as well. Will it work out though? It really has to be seen if Sushi is able to find success with it in a manner that we kind of haven't seen much from him. Like you were mentioning before, I don't think people think of Sushi as an AD carry that wins you the lane. He's an AD carry that wins you the game through team fighting, I would argue most. So it's going to be interesting seeing if he has developed a little bit more of that lane control side of himself with more attention towards the bot side, and if he can push the Caitlyn to power point where she can be the strongest member by 15 minutes that like we know her she can be by pushing turrets, pushing objectives, pushing damage as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm a big Sushi fan. I've been following this guy for most of his career so far. He's also one of the younger players in the Combine, so
Yep.
very excited to see him here as well. But if you were to ask me what champion do I associate with him most, my answer is probably Ashe. I think that's just been one of his best picks for a very long time, and it's just very,
I actually think Ezreal for
stylistically.
sure.
I think Ezreal's a fair shout as well, and I think they're both in that kind of category of like you will frequently see them left on an island and
Yeah.
allowing the support to kind of roam around. And you can do that to a degree with the Caitlyn, but I would expect to see a little bit more emphasis placed on trying to punish this Ziggs Nico with the Jarvan when you have this Caitlyn available. If you could force those recalls out or get those dives on through, you can really try to reap the benefits of those early turret plates and the power that Caitlyn brings to being able to push them down. So certainly an item to keep your eye on as we load on to the Rift for game number 1. You're mentioning flex picks earlier. I think there's a
Yep.
good chance that as this series goes on, we see more flex picks allocated towards the support position. I think that's the
True.
role that really stands out from the pool. Is it's mostly the engagers of the world in that pool. One or two disengagers, the Braum, the Poppy, the Galio in that category as well. And then there's
Bar
there's
technically.
Nico and there's Bard, and that's about it. But both of these players that we have here today, Protoss and Manui, they can lean into the enchanter side a little bit more. They are willing to do that. They have histories of doing that, and it
Yep.
wouldn't surprise me if they found angles to be able to do that here tonight.
Yeah, and I would like to see also the support pool being a little bit more flexible in that sense, right? Because obviously the engage supports are almost always going to be prevalent. Like from the 4 or 5 that we're seeing here, actually, yeah, 4 that we're seeing here, only real one that we're missing is Nautilus. Like the rest are pretty much there. You have the Leona, the Alistair, the Rakan, and the Rel. All of them are pretty much there, bar the Nautilus. And when you consider that that's pretty much the engage pool, you kind of leave open some of the other options. A couple of these players as well, and quite a few of the support players I've noticed that have been quite frequently taking the Pike more willingly, and that's a champion that is not here, but it's a flex that we could end up seeing from either of these players. Pike, Blitzcrank, some of those hooker champions that have that variety in them that can provide a lot from a team. If you're playing for a hyper carry, the variety of having that enchanter as well could add on top of you. So, like you're mentioning, having that flexibility potential in the support position, particularly, could end up working out quite nicely from them. And like you're mentioning, I also think the fact that they have a stronger potential to find a lot more control inside of the game because of how much value the supports do have going into it can end up working out quite nicely. So I'm hoping that we see that as well in the long run of the game, or in the long run of the series, I mean.
Definitely, and it does appear that we are ready to get onto the Rift for game number 1. Let's check out Team A versus Team B for the first time this evening. Find out who is going to be reigning victorious in this final day of online matches. And I do see already that we have some criminals in the lobby. TDS. We got some streamer modes turned on.
Unsurprising there, but obviously we always see them coming through here. That being said, we kind of know who they are as already taking a little bit of damage there, Shochi and Kryra. To be honest with you though, is it not kind of the same that Kryra is playing with the Spider-Man account? Ooh.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I think the main concern with the streamer mode is that it can cause issues in the spectate client.
Yeah.
But I don't want to manifest that, so we'll hope that it's all okay.
It's already a flash blown from Monchi. Really good start there with the vision control they had. Already started as well from the damage that they were dealing to the Victor. And it's going to be quite an active in start to the game, it looks like, because already damaging here on the bot side, maybe having to force a pod. You have the flash obviously blown by Monchi here. And with that mean that Kyra will try and be a little bit more proactive inside of the enemy jungle, because that's always an option. If you're able to take away some of the more useful tools like that flash, you can go in as the Jarvan and try and make a lot of action against the Xin Zhao.
Very nice stuff. We do get into the laning phase. Going to be starting on blue side for both junglers, so opposite sides. Going to likely be trading off those scuttlers as a result. And eyes on Ariana as well. I mean, we didn't talk about top lane too much, but I do think these are two of the best laning top laners in the NACL from last summer. They were both very, very dominant in those one-on-one matchups, so I'm quite excited to see how they're going to face off against each other tonight. So far, Hoarder finding that early poke into Ariana, as you should in that anti-Rumble matchup.
Yeah, job here at trying to poke and mess up with Oriana as much as possible. And I do think, I agree with you on the fact that they were probably two of the better top laners in terms of laning phase. I think one of the main things that I also noticed going into, or by the end of last split, is that Hoarder started being a little bit more proactive, trying to move around and not staying completely inside of his lane. I think a lot of that came through from the fact that after playing a little bit more with the rest of the team, he felt a little bit more confident to move around. So I want to see if with the pressure that he provides here after level 6, we start seeing him trying to go a little bit more aggressive on other lanes. Same for Oriana, because I do think that, yes, controlling the lane is fine, but Rumble at level 6 with the Jarvan can be really chaotic for the damage that they can provide.
Nice use of the overheat there. Finds a little bit of additional flame spitter damage on towards Hoarder. Despite the level disadvantage, he's going to take up to 4 here in just about a second, and being careful to not let the tower kill off that siege. Should be able to keep himself pretty safe in that position here. Does look like Kryra is going for the cross map back over. Wants to contest for this scuttler. Didn't quite see who was able to secure it. Does look like that's going to go the way of Kryra. And he's got Ariana coming over to support him. Ooh. Flash in from Ariana into the overheat. And first blood secured for Kryra. Breaking the rules, cross mapping for first Scuttle Crab, and rewarded with an advantage.
Yeah, but there's the thing that having lanes that control Wade Hoarder has the flash escape.
Yeah, going to have to use it, though. Kryra locking him down. And Kryra doesn't have to stop this chase. I mean, there's no flash available for Hoarder. I think he's going down here. He's going to find a point-blank dash soon. And that's a second kill to Kryra. We said he needed to show up in the early game. A 2-0 start before 5 minutes.
Exactly, taking advantage of the fact of how this game started, as I think Ariana is just going to kill himself. Yeah, here for the minion aggro to just not get stuck under the turret. That's a much better choice actually in how to manage the wave, and this means that he's going to be able to come back into the lane without even having to use teleport. Probably will use it, but doesn't have to necessarily use it that much. I was going to mention Kryra there, using the advantage of the lanes that we were talking about in lane, or before the game, right? Having those lanes that are able to push, particularly on the bot side, gives you this edge that you know that bot lane is not going to be attacked or forced into anything weird because you have the vision control. Mid lane allows you to move quicker into the other side of the map, and then top lane can react quicker onto the play. And with no flash, Munch is just a sitting duck at that point. That's a perfectly played out situation by Kryra, understanding the control that he has and able to maxify or magnify the value that he was going to use.
Definitely. Now, look around this first dragon spawn, plenty of faces getting into that river. It does look like Protoss trying to kind of set a little bit of a trap there, get a little bit of vision, staying posed as Munchie. We'll just go back to clearing out vision. And Kryra in that area as his bot side camps start to respawn is actually going to get onto this dragon. Feels confident in their ability to brawl
Yep.
on the bottom side with this Caitlyn pick. And they've got the push from Phi Mini as well. So all in all, I think this is an easy dragon take for Team A.
Yeah, also the fact that he's 2-0 with an item advantage over Manchi kind of makes him feel extra confident as well. Not level 6 just yet, but he still will have it soon enough that they can try and play around it. But there's something that we're talking as well in the draft. The early dragon stacking off of the leads that they are able to get means that they can try and make more use out of this objective. Also, gaining this dragon super early on, as soon as they can try and rotate the bot lane, they can try and also fight for these grubs without getting contested. And with a Caitlyn that will control the lane, same story for the Orianna in the mid lane, you should have a lot of power to try and get those objectives early on and magnify the pace of the game in a really good manner for you.
Should. That's going to need to be what happens here. You'd see Munchie trying to get over there, get a little bit of vision, get a little bit of timers on the enemy camps on this top side. Weren't any left available for him to steal, so that faint CS lead going to continue to be in place for Kryra. There is a wave crashing on in. They are going to rotate bot to top here, get Sushi in that top lane. Could be matched, although a little bit later on the recall from Enthralled. Should still be here in time for the grub spawn, but the push will be cemented in Sushi's favor.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the most important part out of it, right? The early rotation into being able to overly push this wave. You get the control here with Kryra and the Skull Crab. That means that as soon as everyone is here in position, you have way more control to try and collapse into these grubs. Even the Caitlyn can try and get a play here by herself since nobody is ready to react to it. So extra gold value for the side of Team A, extra control of the map for the side of Team A, and then also maybe try and play around here on the bot side for Team B as Orianna has no flash.
Yeah, a little aggro from him, especially after Munchie just saw
Perfect.
Kryra up on the top side. Will be an easy cleanup for Team B, and Hoarder is on the board. First kill picked up by him. Sushi trying to play aggressively up against Enthralled, but missing that Peacemaker, going to keep this trade relatively even.
Yeah, it does take away a good amount of damage that you probably could have dealt onto the 6. Oh, dive.
Going on deeper, trying to find their way on towards Enthralled. He will flash away. Ace in the hole finds its mark.
There.
Sushi stays alive with just a sliver, and they will successfully make the crossmap.
Fully calculated play 100% there. The problem is that now look who's coming. Munchie's trying to rush here. He doesn't have flash though. Actually, I got baited by the Nico. Still, Nico does have the flash, but I don't think she has enough damage just yet to be able to close out on some of the skills. So she able to escape there, still has his flash as well. And with the control that they got, even though the 6 is dead, and even though there's a couple of members that are coming back here, probably should be 2 grubs, and that's about it for the side of Team A, as a little bit of fighting here by Phi Mini. Oh, they get all 3.
Yeah, and I mean, that's Chaos Storm blown out of Shochi.
Yeah.
And going to be still having access to the Shockwave on Phi Mini, and he's not even the one that has to recall. So, I mean, seeing a little bit of the early brawling power of the mages and why people prioritize this Orianna so heavily in the current meta. That last round of buffs, where now you just max Q all the time, no matter what. It feels real good for the Orianna player, and you just feel comfortable in basically any and all matchups. You can see a CS lead already building up for Phi Mini in a matchup where Shoshi saw it face up, and this is the best he could come up with.
Yep, in a manner that they just keep on having this sort of control here. It's all kind of a waiting game now for Team B because Shochi can play a little bit aggressive, but he's pretty much playing off of the fact that he has to wait for his level ups, to wait for his items to hit, and he's already behind Phi Mini here in terms of the Rada as well, so he's going to take a little bit longer before he actually becomes an important factor as closely
there's
stunned.
going to be a lockdown Phi Mini, or rather Ganui finding his way on towards Enthralled. Full combo comes on across. Great move by Sushi to dodge out onto the Tempered Fate as it came in as well. Ganui and Sushi finding another play onto the flashless Enthralled.
I was about to mention that was a close play where you almost messed up your own teammate with the Tempered Fate, but nice movement there by Sushi. Also, the setup was really, really good, playing off of the fact that Six has no flash after the previous dive, and also the position of where the wave was and the jungler was. Really nicely played in general as Protoss.
Shockwave onto Protoss. He might fall down in the mid
Ooh,
lane,
late
and there's going to
Hoarder
be Ariana going all in onto Hoarder as well, staying
has
in
pretty
that
good execution.
overheated state, keeping him low, going to pin him between the turret. TP being channeled. This is Sushi showing
Yeah,
up to keep the push going, claim even more plates. I don't know how much success he's going to be able to have there, but there is another wave coming in. Shochi just walking in au
oh
naturel,
wait,
and
no.
Manui and Kryra. If it didn't work the first time, well, it did work the first time, but if it
And
worked
the
once,
second
it's going to
time.
work a second. They get on in there, and they find themselves the kill.
Bro, it's the third time it's worked. It's been one dive, two ganks, and it's worked out every single time there. Not the best there for Enthralled. Another kill there, really good control. And I love the way that Minui has been focusing this game because realistically, that's the flashless carry. You focus that man all the time, and guess what? He's going to die. Now, the bot lane play, I'm not against it because I think that the idea there by Sushi was teleport in, hit a Peacemaker or an out attack, and with the ultimate, try and execute the target as, yeah, Munch escaping by the skin of his teeth. But that was probably going to work if you connect that. As Hoarder, good trade.
Yeah, Fimini really taking on all comers here. I do want to call out the Profane Hydra purchase by Kryra as well. He's looking to play this a little more
Ulti value.
assassiny, a little higher damage, and you can't blame them. They've been able to develop such a nice early lead. They've sacrificed Ariana to some degree, but so far seems to be working out just fine. Ariana likely to go down another time here. Nicely executed dive. Hoarder snags with that public execution, but Manui and Sushi going to get alone time on this bottom lane tower, and the pushing power of the Caitlyn plus the triple grubs should make this plenty viable for Team A.
Yeah, this is something we were talking about as well in draft, right? The fact that if you get that early control of the objectives, early grubs for the Caitlyn here, she becomes such a menacing and bothersome champion to try and stop from pushing turrets. She got a couple of late stop sides, she got bot lane plates here, probably getting the full turret as well in the process, and there's not much that you can do to try and stop it. I would say though for Team B, the good thing is that they rolled on the best dragon that they could have rolled here, because I think Cloud Dragon, for the purpose of the composition that Team A has,
this comp,
it's
yeah.
not going to be the most ideal. Like, you want to blow people up and then follow and then try and play the remaining of the fight. The extra movement speed is nice, but I think that it's overkill for the point that you're looking for, where any other dragon probably allows you to work on your purpose much better. That being said, the early control that they have and the fact that they have already two dragons could force an Elder Soul, an Elder really early as well.
Yeah, Caitlyn and Jarvan in particular, probably two of the worst Cloud Soul users you can imagine.
Yeah,
Really not a lot of value to be had in movement speed on ulticast for those guys, but nonetheless, stacking it up still going to be valuable, getting that out of combat movement speed and getting access to that Elder Dragon still going to be super, super strong. Ariana, the one who is being weak-sided here this game, but so far has been able to keep himself up in CS without too much trouble, and Rumble, one of the better champions in the base damage department. So all in all, I think Team A are happy to be in this position given their net 3k gold lead. They're starting to set up around this top side. I mean, it will be a Rift Herald spawn in another minute 30. See if that is going to be the priority for them as they're already taking away camps, and Manui going to start off this fight. Kryra going to try to get on out. There's going to be a follow-up coming through from Munchie.
oh,
He's
great
going
flash
to flash
here.
over, trying to lock down Kryra. Kryra going to be able to flash away from the Mega Inferno Bomb, and now Fimini is here to back up the rest of his team, as is Sushi. They're going to be forced to back away. They get Kryra's flash for Munchie's flash, but other than that, not too much to be found.
Well, technically they got the red buff as well in the process, so
True.
kind of got what you were looking for there as Team A, Fyra getting the stolen red buff in the process. But the commitment that Team B went for there with the ultimate by the 6, the flash from Munchie also expended, means that you're probably going to be in a situation here where you're not at match threat if you're either Sushi or Oriana. Because you're going to be able to push on some of these waves. The risk from the Xinjiao kind of gets deleted there, as I don't think you get the kill just yet. Yeah, not enough damage just yet for killing Shochi in that position, but the control is still fully in favor of Team A as... Ooh, Ariana.
Yeah, Ariana going to do a nice job of dodging out of the public
Flash.
execution. Here it comes,
Oh, no
Kryra.
equalizer,
Remember
though.
that Hydra damage. He's going to be able to pump out a fair bit himself here, and Mini coming over to support. Going to dash back
Oh,
through
no.
on towards the flag in order to keep himself safe. Order falling lower and lower. Munchie doesn't have the damage to fight back, and it's a 2-for-0 to Team A. Meanwhile, turret falls to Sushi on the top side. They're winning on both halves.
Yeah, they're getting all the leads they want to try and get, as maybe a cancel here onto Sushi could try and set up a kill here for Shochi. He's fast. He's moving actually quite fast.
Both
And
parties
yeah,
have
probably.
the flash. Sushi really wants to hold on to his, but will be forced to expend it. And now Shochi gonna flash after him. Will be able to line up the laser. It's a solo kill to Shochi. Sushi a little too greedy with the summoner spells there.
Gets the extra gold there, gets the shutdown. Yes, you blow your flash, but you get the Caitlyn's flash in the process. And like you're mentioning, maybe a little bit too greedy with the position of the back. But still, good thing for the side of TB to actually get something back. For Team A, it's not the end of the world. Yes, the Caitlyn was ahead, but it's not Kryra levels of ahead at this point. It's 2-1 and 0, a couple of plates going your favor. But what you really need to protect is Kryra here, because he is going full aggro build. He even going for the extra damage here on lethality. He wants to blow people up with that Orianna combo, plus the equalizer, and we're probably going to get to see that in future fights.
Kryra's got Profane Hydra into Axiom Arc. This is a solo Q Jarvan build if I've ever seen one. They're going to try to limit his champion pool for week number 3. He's going to find a way to invent an assassin where none were in the pool. It's going to be in the form of this Jarvan. Heads up to Kryra and the damage he's going to bring to the table. Can't get on the Kiana or the Pantheon. Build your own. And here he is.
Why flex an assassin when you can just build tank jungle assassin in any champion and that's it?
Yeah.
Probably works out the same way as trying to take down this mid lane turret. The control, once again, just marvelously in favor of the side of Team A. And with this push, they also get dragon control, so it's going to be pretty much a free soul point for them as the Herald, yeah, we'll get the push here. There's nothing to stop him. There's no Trundle Pillar or anything like that at all. And in the mid, well, like we're mentioning, dragon taken down here. So even though the game is not necessarily the fastest in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, the control is wholly or completely on the side of Team A. There's barely anything that Team B has been able to find to really turn around the pace, and they need to find some sort of picks or plays around the map to really make it work out for themselves. Trying to get this bounty is going to be a good start, but it's really not the point where you're looking for as Team B to try and still set up yourself for success.
Yeah, and I want to highlight Team A's lane assignments this game. They've done a really great job of just putting everybody where they need to be all the time, right? Manui on the Bard has been assisting Kryra with Jarvan invades, has been setting up for ganks with the Magical Journey, but also all 3 outer turrets were taken in large part by Sushi, right? He has gotten put in positions to be able to just sit there and auto-attack a turret, which is one of the primary ways that you want to utilize this Caitlyn to develop an early game advantage. It's just been really great for them. Can't know for sure who's driving all of the lane assignment discussions, but regardless, it's put them in a very solid position.
Yeah, not sure who's the one taking the decisions, but it's a really good way of showing how good your decision making is there. And it's really understanding the value of your comm in the way that it needed to. The early skirmish with the Jarvan and the Rumble in the top side, leaning then into the Caitlyn moving around the map and being able to find multiple places to maximize the value of the Caitlyn, now meaning that you get 2 items on her and being able to push into multiple turrets, gaining a lot of gold. That's the right way of trying to play this sort of mock situations. I think a lot of that also comes from the fact that Team B was falling behind really quickly as well, but the way the Team A has played it out around the map has been really, really good. I think we need to see a little bit more maybe from 5mini and Kryra working together here, because I think that duo's damage is what's supposed to be carrying a lot of this portion of the game now, but in reality they have been managing the rest of the stages so well that it's probably not needed at all.
Definitely. Tempered Fate coming on through. They find it on towards 2 members.
Oh,
Shockwave well timed. Both flashes come out in an instant. Enthralled and Protoss understand the assignment, but they are both going to be without the summoner regardless. Equalizer comes down to slow down a few more members. Protoss going to intercept another harpoon with his clone, and that will allow Team B to retreat. But hey, 2 or 3 ultimates for 2 flashes. You'll take that trade.
Yeah, it's a good
Oh,
trade, and
and they're
we
going to
were
find more,
lacking.
actually. Kryra coming in from the
Oh
flank
wait,
nearly
Kryra.
one-shots enthralled, but here's the re-engage from Munchie. Disrespecting the power that Xin Zhao brings to the table, they will be able to cut down Ariana, and now
Sushi has
Sushi
no flash.
slowed up by the laser, getting backed up by Manui, but there's the gravity well on top of him. Sushi just cannot survive this
Ooh.
damage. They do find damage back onto Sochi to be able to get that even trade.
Oh,
Public
Kryra's dead.
execution coming through on towards Kryra, and big shutdown goal to Hoarder.
And for all the credit that we were giving to the side of Team A, the overcommitment there turns into complete disaster for them as Team B takes full advantage out of that fight. And like you were mentioning initially, blowing multiple flashes for a couple of ultimates was a fine trade. Like it was going to be good, especially with Atakan coming back up at this point in the game, or coming up at this point in the game. But the problem here is that they overcommitted, forced too much into the 6, and Kryra's ultimate actually forced Ariana to be locked up in place, where the 6 ultimate and the remaining abilities were able to calm down on multiple members and kill them pretty comfortably. I think the idea by teammate wasn't necessarily bad where they started the fight, but trying to keep on running with it was a problem, because we talked about how heavily this composition relies on their ultimates, and if you already used your ultimates at different timings, it's going to take away from your value, and it's not going to give the space for the Caitlyn to auto attack right. It gives more openings for Team B, and if they all stay alive, they have counter punch as well.
Yeah, and you're completely right. That's one of those attributes that makes these kinds of compositions a little bit harder to execute, right? You take a little stumble, you give a little bit of momentum back, and it's very hard to go back to the position that you were in previously. Really
Yeah.
heavily indexed into these early spikes this game, especially with this sort of Jarvan build. You don't have the big tanky front line. Now you've given over that big shutdown gold over to Hoarders and Bessa. This is now a priority target for you to be able to deal with. Your advantage in mid lane going to be drying up here before too long. Right at this very moment, Phi Mini has the bonus level from the Rod of Ages, and Shochi does not, but that's not going to be true for more than about 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to not be as long as it probably you would like to have at this point, but it's going to be enough for the Arakan here, and you're not going to have a lot of choices after this to be able to force a couple of fights. You're getting good scaling with the fact that the 6 and the Victor are reaching strong item points. Probably the 6 needs to get a little bit closer to that next item mark, but that's going to be really important for them to keep on having a lot of control over the map in terms of what the 6 can accomplish, what the 6 can provide in terms of damage as well. Now, they do find here Munchie, but not much to try and put a stop, or at the very least not try and attempt to go onto the Xin Jiao. Instead, it's just going to protect the jungle and try and play around it. And maybe trying to get a little bit of control before that soul that is coming up in 40 seconds.
Yeah, and that's going to be the priority here. The fact that they were able to pick up that Otacon buff, going to give them a nice solid chunk of XP.
Minui.
2-level lead in the jungle, notable here, and they really want to get 5 Mini to this level 16 if they can. Look at that burst damage brought in off of that, but there's going to be a dive in onto Sushi. Tempered Fate connects onto 2. Mega Inferno Bomb dodged away from.
Yes,
Double knockup comes through from Kryra. Hoarder falls down immediately, and they get the
Look at
assassination
Kryra.
onto Enthralled. There's the ace in the hole, going to get blocked away by Protoss' Claw, but Kryra going to execute him as well. It's a triple kill to Kryra on Assassin Jarvan to claim Dragon Soul for Team A. Shochi trying his best to outplay and escape, but he's executed. It's an unofficial quadra kill for Kryra.
Yeah, they committed so much into the remaining members, but Kryra was there left by himself, able to get onto the backline with his ultimate. And with this build, if you're left in touch, even if you're a little bit less tankier, you're still much stronger to be able to kill squishy targets. No flash on the 6, no flash on Protoss, able to lock them down and kill them really quickly. Important as well, that part of the combo that Team A had was able to connect into members that were killed quickly. Hoarder dying super early in that fight really meant that they were not going to have a lot of control for the side of Team B to respond. And then Shochi was also not a factor in that fight because he was fighting down onto Faimini, and it meant that you were taking away both mid laners from that position. But comparatively, Shochi at this point in the game is more important for Team B's fighting potential than 5 Mini is for Team A's. Because their combo is not relying on the Orianna ultimate. It's relying on connecting ultimates, but not one.
Certainly. And I really do want to highlight, well, as I try to highlight it, he's doing it again. Manui finding another pick here, picking off Protoss, and now the damage from Sushi going to be able to force back Munchie. Another assassination comes through from Kryra, and he's ready to dunk onto his jungle counterpart, chasing for even more. Kryra underneath the turret, joined by Many, will get Shochi down. 4 members die for Team B, and this base is not long standing for the world as all the members of Team A converge for a siege.
Yeah, not at all. They are doing everything there to be able to provide enough damage to kill multiple targets, and they are going even inside of the base to keep on killing them, as now the base gets open a little bit. No inhibitor just dying just yet, but it's still enough control that they can try and keep on pushing the tempo here. And importantly, Baron hasn't even come up yet. It's 1 minute away from Baron buff, and with a Baron buff, if they are able to get it comfortably on the side of Team A, Caitlyn pushing power just means that that could be the game. It's probably going to be maybe 1 or 2 more fights for Team B before the game it gets way too difficult to come back, and it's probably going to go in the favor of Team A. But they are hitting important timings. 2 items completed on the 6, 3.5 items on the Victor, 2 items on the Xinjiao, 2 items on the Ambessa here. Maybe this is the point of the game where they can actually pull off a Hail Mary play.
That's what they're going to need, and I want to take this moment of silence to wrap back around to praising Manui. He starts off a big part of that previous fight with a pick of the Tempered Fate. The fight before that, where Kryra gets the Quadra, is set up largely by a clutch Tempered Fate from Manui. He was able to do so much in the early game with his ganking, and this may be narrative brainworms, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he's a major driver of those lane assignments that we were praising earlier on. This guy's such a smart, experienced player. Have loved him in the support position since he made that swap over, and he is showing up in this Combine game number 1. Sushi going to make the pick on a Munchie, but it's going to be Manui picked off on the opposite side. Many going to die before he is able to get off that shockwave, and the Chaos Storm is massive from Shochi to be able to keep the rest of the team at bay. It is now a 3 versus 4 here, Team A. Still with the Fed Kryra, though, going to jump in on a Hoarder on the back line. They're nearly able to one-shot him, and Sushi will be able to take him down through the flash. Mega Inferno Bomb, nearly going to execute Ariana. He's burning down, and he will die, but Kryra and Sushi going to try to fight this one out. A flash forward from Sushi. The damage on Kryra is just ridiculous, and a complete wipe is secured for Team A from a numbers disadvantage. 3v4. They come up with 4. Baron buff going to Team A.
And they have found a really good fight there for Team A after how it started, because it was looking maybe it was going to be a little bit dicey. Nerd equalizer by Ariana trying to set up a fight, but they find Mini and Minui as well on the side. The problem is that Kryra is way too strong at this point, and same for Sushi. They were able to kill the remaining targets really comfortably. And we're talking about Hail Mary plays for the side of Team B. That was one of them. They still have remaining 1 in base, but it's a Baron buff push that it's going to come through with the Caitlyn, with the Orianna, with the Jarvan being this strong. And the chances are getting really difficult to pull off here for the side of Team B. There's still hope, but it's difficult.
Still plenty of hope, but yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, TDS. And the one-shot potential of this Jarvan is just nuts. I really like these Assassin Jarvan builds ever since they made Cataclysm damage AoE. Means when you find people grouped up, you get to just press R and reap the benefits for the entire team. Not quite connecting the Tempered Fate there, but Manui doesn't care. He's going to get Cosmic Binding through onto the turret. Look at the damage onto Enthralled. There's just nothing he can do against this Jarvan. Kryra executes Sand's ultimate. An attempted engage from Munchie is shut down. Hoarder trying to make a hero play, but cannot do it. Double kill to Sushi. 5 for 0 ace. Team A marching on the base off a massive performance from Kryra and Manui.
Yeah, they did such a good job there in the way that they played it. They find the right angles there to be able to force a lot of those plays, and at the end they do an amazing job at it. Really good game overall from the side of Team A. I think Team B were on the back foot for a huge part of it, especially with the start of it. It was an early flash away from Munchie, and Cry just managed out that situation so well, taking advantage of the fact that he had pushing lanes, winning lanes, helped you out really comfortably, and then the Jarvan able to just win you out games so well. Really comfortable win for the side of Team A, and look at the difference in terms of some of those kills. Kryra ended up 14-1 and 10, and then Sushi 10-2 and 5 to their counterparts. It's really unlucky for them because the game just started snowballing really early.
Yeah, From minute number 1, you could see it was Kryra who came up with the more aggressive game plan, and Team A who all converged to execute around it, right? It's the
Yep.
decision to not just go for the cross-map scuttle trade, but to move back through mid lane to contest on that first scuttle that sets Kryra up for the early advantage. He gets back up from Ariana, he gets back up from Phi Mini. From that point onward, they get to continue to invade alongside Manui to build up a bigger and
Yep.
bigger lead. Manui able to take that advantage to make more and more ganks happen on towards Enthralled and spread that lead around the rest of the map. It was a really well played out showing from that point onward. And interesting that I am now seeing in the post game that it says TTV Rough Beans. Is Enthralled giving a shout out to his former teammate? Or was this Rough Beans and there was a last minute substitution? Who's to say?
We'll wait and see. It's been a while since we've seen Robin, so either way could be fun. That being said, yeah,
Okay, it
so
is
it is
enthralled. It
enthralled.
is
It's
enthralled.
just a shout
Okay,
out.
he's all right. Players, Sajed, enthralled. You guys are going to jail. I'm sorry, but you can't name
Yeah,
yourselves after other players when you're playing games on live servers.
we
I'm
need to know who
vetoing
you are.
Stop this. Get some help.
And play some games. But so far, at the very least, it was a really good game. I think for the most part, Team A dominated, yes, but I think Team A B had their good moments. I think Munchie, for what was given to him early on to start it off, found good angles. I think Hoarder played the lane phase really nicely and also had some really good public executions. And Shochi had to play his game the way that he did. Because on the back foot, you need to be able to find your resources and things like that. He got a really good solo kill off of Ober or a way too far forward Sushi actually inside of the top lane, and he was trying to magnify that value, but sadly at the end it's not good enough to be able to go against that full lethality or full damage Sharpen Force that will just jump on your face and kill you. But it was a good attempt.
Indeed, it was. Well, with that said, we're going to throw it to a quick break here while the players take some time to discuss with their coaches and prep for draft number 2. We'll be back after a moderate break for game number 2 as these two teams face off for the second time tonight. We'll see everybody on the other side. To redemption on the other side, standing on the burning ride. Alright, 'cause we are timeless, our future knows not your pain, our past knows only victory, so we still remain.
く強く輝いて消えた流れ星ほら命が燃える何かに怯え走り続けたその虚しさの指示何を見て何を探してきた自分の声がただ響く幾千万の星の中で惹かれて出会った守り手たちよ回る回る時の輪の中で自分の弱さ強さの先に同じ空誰かが見上げてるそう信じて消されない虹の奇跡が届けと冷たい指で涙拭ったあの日にはもう帰れない水平線目指して飛び立つ自分の願いを抱いて幾千万の星に呼ばれ交わりすれ違う守り手たちよ回る回る時に抗って未来を願ってもいいですか儚さから目をそらしたぐりせる道の兆しの向こうかける希望あなたの光あなたの命いたずらに知らさないようにそっとくれた記憶胸に熱く灯し約束の地へもう振り返らずに恋願う歌は空高く世界に銀河に広がってくそれがいつか風となり消えて新たな日が始まる越えてゆく時の輪の中で確かに刻みつけたきらめき同じ空誰かが見上げてる信じたから
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Saito Combine. It is the final day. There are 2 games left. TDS has had to step away. We brought in Jay Beto for the rest of the series. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Had to take TDS out back, and he's got some stuff to deal with. But I'm here now. Haven't cast with Gordo before, so I'm excited, having a good time here. It's been a really fun couple of weeks here at Cedo. I think that this is such a cool opportunity for players. Obviously, us as casters, these are some super high-level players. And specifically, the players getting scouted out. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but what I want to talk about right now is this Azir pickup here. 5 Mini has had this Azir banned away from him. Every time I've watched it, I saw him on it once or twice, and he looked unbelievable on it. Taking it away from him makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and Shochi learns his lesson for game number 1 a little bit there, I think. In game number 1, they ban the Azir on red, they give 5 Mini to Orianna, and they feel a little bit SOL, right? Like, they end up having to get the Victor matchup, and it does not work out too well for Shochi. This time around, they're going to do the handshake that we've seen so much at Worlds. They're going to get the Azir, give away the Orianna, and that's going to be kind of the basis of this mid lane showdown for the rest of game number 2. Yunara going to be a very early selection as well, prioritized here for Sushi. That's the kind of pick that I associate with Sushi a lot more than something like a Caitlyn, so I'm very excited to see him on it right here. And there's that Sion that is going to be the flex pick of choice. It's interesting that Sion's not in the Week 3 champion pool, but he's not, so Hoarder going to snatch that one up for himself.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Sion is probably the strongest top laner in the world. It's the best blind top laner in the entire game. Sorry, not a whole lot that really answers it. In Worlds, it's been very devastating. Rek'Sai has been one of the answers that's also not in the pool, and Bessa, which is in the pool, is a decent answer. But the problem is, you're playing in a mobile mage in this Orianna. The Rakan allows you to get pretty creative on the map, banning away the Bard here. I will say that Minui, for me, in the last couple of last 2 weeks, I'll say, from when I've been casting him and watching, has been outstanding. I think that Bard game from him last game was ridiculous. He was all over the map making crazy plays, and I think that when I've seen Minui fail is when he's been shut out of the game. There are things that you can play into the Rakan, Poppy, but you've already taken away your flex pick. Nautilus, you've already taken away your flex pick. There's not a whole lot left into the Rakan. Alistair does okay, but you can still be really creative with the Rakan.
Yeah, and we're in a Protoss nightmare situation now. The Bard and the Nico get banned away. The Rakan is selected, and Protoss is going to probably have to play a little bit more of a traditional engagey kind of champion here. There's that Rek'Sai that you called out as potential counter pick, and I do think it's where they're going to use their flex here. The other place that we called out in game number 1, I guess we're going to have to wait till game number 3 for it, is I'd like to see some flexes in the support position for these players. I do think they're both guys who have pretty deep pools and pretty unique pools. I would hope they get to show it off a little bit here in their last showing for Cedo, but not going to be in this game number 2. It's all about the top lane as both these guys reach a little bit deeper outside of the established pools. Now, with that said, Enthralled, going to have to go for something into this Yunara. Looking at the Kai'Sa here, you can't pick Thresh, Protoss, so it's going to have to be something else this time. Oh, there's the Rengar support meme. If you're real deep on Twitter, you're going to know this discourse around this one.
I've seen a couple of tweets. I would prefer Alistair or obviously Nautilus, but that you can't go that. Rel is not bad into the Rakan, but it's really difficult to lock down the Rakan with a Rel. He's very slippery. Poppy is a great answer. I think this is one of the things that I was touching on here. I know you were saying flex for unallowed champions, but this is in the flex slot, meaning that it can go into multiple roles. I haven't actually seen Poppy in Saito just yet, so that is, I don't know, a breath of fresh air for me. I think this champion is really broken. So into the Rakan feels really nice. It's not the strongest lane, however. When you're playing a Yunara Rakan, will guaranteed get push against Kai'Sa. I could even see a lane top here, right, with the Sion. Put the Sion with the Poppy. That's a very tanky bot lane. Put the Kai'Sa against the Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai should be fine with some innate healing, but will give Kai'Sa a very well needed breath in the lane.
Yeah, I really like the selection of the Trundle here for Kryra as well. I think they saved this jungle pick for him last, and you're up against 2.5-ish tanks, right? The Poppy going to be up in your front line a little bit more, going to have a lot of those defensive stats established. The Scion, of course, the big one that you're going to need a little bit of assistance to probably work through. Although the Yonara also one of those on-hit champs that should be able to handle it just fine. It'll be good into the Xin Zhao in that 1v1 matchup, and it's not even bad against the carries established here. Kaisa, a little bit shorter range, one that you can chase onto, that you can probably get a chomp off onto. Chomp, an ability that totally hoses most of the marksmen and the roster, and even the Azir, getting to interrupt shuffles and things like that with Pillar, going to be a unique attribute that you do bring to the table. Bonus points if Protoss at any point this game manages to stun anybody into a Trundle Pillar. That's going to be a lot of fun. But otherwise, I do think that the pick comes out great, really fits in well into the draft, and they come out with a pretty solid team composition for themselves. They don't necessarily need the Trundle for the engage because they already have that Rakan, they already have that Rek'Sai.
I want to keep touching on this Trundle actually, because not only is it great into these tanks, right? Scion obviously very, very good into Scion, good into Poppy too, right? The Steadfast Presence doesn't get any value against Trundle, but it's really good into Xin Zhao. The matchup is basically if Trundle finds Xin Zhao in the jungle, Xin Zhao dies. If Trundle walks into a jungle camp for an invade, that camp now belongs to Trundle. You need to rotate your team to the camp to defend against Trundle, and the reason is, obviously, like you said, that Chomp stealing away the AD, the Subjugate's great. Trundle is just a duelist. He wins out against most junglers. The jungle of choice most of the time in pro play has been Jarvan, and the reason is that Jarvan can get out. He's very mobile. Xin Zhao, however, not mobile. He will die if caught. The other thing as well, I mean, maybe we'll see Kryra go some kind of crit lethality Trundle. Who knows? I mean, he did it on the Jarvan. You said he loves these assassins, and we were talking a bit in break about how this is a massive player to look out for in the 26th season. You expect big things from this player, and that's important to continue to perform in a combine.
Yeah, definitely. I do think, sometimes there's a time and a place to build normal items, and you know what, Trundle can go like a Trinity Force and stuff anyway, so I think we'll be able to sate Kryra with just the standard selections this time around. But I don't know, you're going to have a lot of tankiness coming in from the Rek'Sai as well, so you're not really forced into being that pure frontliner either. So should support this Trundle selection as kind of the bruiser, the duelist of the roster a little bit better. Definitely going to have the capability of even disrupting potential Scion engages from Order as well with that Pillar, so a lot of flexibility brought to him in this draft, and he's going to need it, right? The Poppy is going to be able to do a lot to hose this Rakan. There's going to be a lot of responsibility on Manui's shoulders to either bait that out or at least build up finding your correct angles and making sure that if you are getting bonked down by a Steadfast Presence, it's part of some grander play that does have the capability to succeed. Otherwise, you're just going to hit your wall into the face, hit your face into the wall, and end up having to call it there. So lots to focus on as far as the engage potential into this Poppy. Protoss has a lot of power to try to dissuade that, and a lot of traditional team fight power here for the likes of Team B with this Azir, with this Kaisa, with this big tanky Scion in the front line. If they can get a front-to-back team fight, you feel like they are going to be really well positioned to just be able to work their way front to back.
We were talking about discourse on Twitter, yesterday for me, I guess. Horda posted his achievements for 25 season. I've seen a lot of discussions about him, a lot of vouching, I'll say. And I've got his achievements up right here. I'll just quickly read through them. So he has NACL Rookie of the Year 2025, NACL Second All-Pro Team 2025, NACL Second Place MVP, First Place NACL 2025 Split 2, and third and fourth place NACL playoffs. This is a player to keep your eyes on as well. And I think that in the last game, the Ambassador, the game didn't go very great for Team B, but I thought that the Ambassador did some really good work, had some great ults and some good catches. But putting a player like this on the Sire, it's a great blind pick we were discussing in the draft, but you're really relying on your carries. I think that obviously a good thing to have in a team to say, I can play this, I will rely on my carries to do the work, give them late game scaling and carry potential, and I will be the spearhead of the team comp. But is that the correct decision? We'll have to see as we get into the game a little bit later, but it's a question mark for me right now. I think that there were maybe better options. Obviously taking away into the unallowed champions, I guess I'll call them, the one allowed champion out of the list. is a statement saying, okay, no, I want to go and play the Sion. I want to show off what I can do on this champion. So I'm willing to be impressed by this Sion, but against a Trundle, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, certainly. And, Hoarder's had a lot of good Scion games over the course of the year. His time on Conviction, I think he really stood out on the pick. I think it was a really big part of Supernova's run as well. So on both of the teams that he played for throughout this year, I think he showed his weak side tank player kind of side of himself a little bit more and was able to show a lot of success there, which is always great to see. You get a lot of these new prospects, especially in the top lane, who are a little bit more married to their carries, their individual lane performers. Thinking back to guys like Zamudo and Surti with their marksman top lanes that kind of started them on their initial journey. But you got to round that out with tank play. It's just going to be such a big part of the competitive game for forever, very likely. They don't like it too much when those are completely taken out of the game. So having that capability is going to be very important for you, and it's a pick that I feel Hoarder's very comfortable on. If anything, I'm a little more surprised to see Ariana kind of handshake it with the Rek'Sai, right? I felt like, yes, they ban away the Gwen, but the only reason the Gwen is able to be banned away is because they prioritize getting this Rakan for Manui, and that's the sort of pick that I feel like stylistically really fits with what I expect to see out of Ariana. I expect to see him on these individual carries, and when he stares down a Sion, he's a player that I do generally expect to go for the Mbessas, the Gwens, the Jaxes, the sorts of split pushy picks that you can scale up against and try to take advantage of a Sion who's not really going to be able to threaten and kill you early on. But this time around, going for the Rek'Sai, prioritizing, giving Kryra that anti-tank potential, and making sure they're going to be able to scale up with this Yunara-Orianna composition.
I mean, you've been talking about it's hard to analyze drafts completely in a combine like this. It could very much be a coach decision. This is a matchup we've seen a ton at Worlds. We want to see how you do on it. It's not a carry matchup. You aren't going to be in a position to take over the game in a side lane. Gwen, absolutely. If the lane is untouched and you get to 1 item, 2 items in a side lane later in the game, you just tear Sion into pieces of shredded paper. But Rek'Sai, much more focused on the team fight, much more focused on engaging, finding an even lane state with Sion rather than dominating him later in the game. But, will opt for a little bit more team fighting. Makes sense with the Rakan. And I think that when you're going kind of this fragile backline, Orianna, no mobility, Yunara does have some, you need to ult for it. And the Trundle, which also has no mobility, having a mobile, I say tank, but Rek'Sai these days has been a bit more bruisery, the Hydra, the Shojin. So maybe a bit more agency in that lane than previous versions of Rek'Sai. But yeah, still have to keep our eye on this top lane matchup as we are getting into game.
Well, looks like we are ready to kick things off, so let's get on to Summoner's Rift. Game number 2. Team B moving over to the blue side, Team A to the red. And plenty more League of Legends left to be played. We are only 33% through. Does look like Shochi will not be turning off his streamer mode.
Hey, it's 33.3 repeater percent.
I'm tagging you on Twitter, man. This cannot stand.
Call out post. Hoarder will find Orianna. Do a bit of smacking, but yeah, I'm surprised to see Rek'Sai kind of make a comeback in the meta. There was that really boring time where it was like Cassante versus Rek'Sai, and the Rek'Sai was also building full tank, or Zac. Then it was Zac versus Rek'Sai, just full healing top lane. That was really boring. This Rek'Sai has a bit more fun involved with it. Builds the AD, but pretty aggressive start here from Team A.
Yeah, looking for that early invade to get some of that vision that is going to be necessary. It does look like we have a little bit of a pause here. At first, I thought it was just me.
I was worried it was me.
No, so yeah, I thought it was just me for a second there. I was taking a screenshot on my other monitor, but nope. We're back. We're back into the action. A little bit of a post-pause there. Smunchy looking to stare down Kryra. Does have the cutoff there from Ariana. They're going to get the double knock-up. Here comes Mini. At the very least, going to get a mana flow ban stack off of this, and they will chunk Shochi to about half.
This is a really good late invade. Sometimes you see teams do this, and it's a massive chunk. You don't get flash or pots, so you're able to just base and walk back out. But now, unfortunately, Shochi has to play this lane out at a little bit over half HP, takes a Q to the face, and is now half HP at minute 1, 45 seconds. Orianna in this lane is already really dominant. The Azir pick into it, or the Orianna pick into it, sorry, is really for the lane. Azir will win on side lane. He's much more aggressive, and then obviously is a much late game scaler than the Orianna is. But this lane, very dominant for Orianna if you know what you're doing, which I assume Mini very comfortable in this matchup, and that'll make it even harder.
Yeah, I think the Oriannas, the Azirs of the world, the kind of things that Mini loves to pilot. He gets 2 Orianna games in a row, so you know he's plenty warmed up on the selection, and will be in about as comfortable a position as you can get for old Mini here. So looking to see how he does now that Shochi gets his hands on, the more traditional counterpart to the matchup. It's the one that we get to see at Worlds all season long, and that has certainly kind of established itself as a staple in Fearless series. Usually game 1, game 2, one of those early games in the series, you get to see Orianna versus Azir, and I'm going to guess the Grand Finals this weekend is going to be no exception. Orianna finding an aggressive trade earlier on here, that kind of
looking for an
exchange of power, part of the reason why the Rek'Sai into the Scion is such a favorite pick.
Look at this Trundle here. This is what I was talking about, this matchup. Trundle walks in on the bot side, and that camp is now his. He's pushing out Munchie very aggressively.
Yep, Munchie going to have to retreat away here. I mean, this bottom trifecta is the only camps that he has available. This is the only thing he can do. So they're going to try to ping for a little bit of success. Sushi and Minui going to be brawling back and forth. Sushi does lose a fair bit of his HP in that exchange, though. Didn't quite catch it. Perhaps Protoss found the wall bang, and if that is the case, certainly going to be difficult here. Mini with a health advantage in mid as well means that he is equipped to be able to come over here and back up Kryra on the continued invade. But Protoss finds another engage into the wall, gets Minui to have to flash and heal away. Sushi has to flash as well, but look at how low Enthralled is falling. First blood to Sushi. Kryra comes out of the woods to make the gank happen in mid lane, and it's 2-0 for Team A already.
That's a devastating start to give to a Trundle and this Yunara too. You force both the summoners out of these bot laners and end up giving a kill over to Yunara. It was so close on both sides. Barely any health left for Sushi, but ends up going in Team A's favor. The Trundle, I mean, this is the matchup, right? Yes, you get in a bit of CS, but you waste so much of Xin Zhao's time. He's not able to impact that bot lane play at all. And I mean, like I said, Trundle walks in, that camp is no longer yours. He wasn't able to get it, but instead pivots into the mid lane as Mini had shoved the wave in. Got a nice early kill there. Trundle will be late on the clear and won't be able to base yet, but will be able to pick up these camps and be just fine.
Yeah, the effect of that invade from Kryra is he just creates some chaos in the lanes, right? Both mid and bot need to start brawling with one another. They're trying to come over to support their respective junglers, and it all comes up Team A. Mini finding great exchanges onto Shochi, knocks his health bar low enough to set up for that gank, and unfortunately for Team B, they were looking like the victors in the bottom lane fight, but it comes up as a kill for Sushi. Now you find yourself at a significant deficit here. Porter not going to be the one to solo carry you this game onto the Scion, and Orianna keeping the pressure on, using the sustain, looking for an execution. Doesn't use the flash, trying to get Hoarder to blow his.
Yeah, really nice bait, but good nerves by Hoarder. Knows that most likely if Orianna flashes there, you can trade your flash and hopefully react, get a trade 1-for-1, which Orianna's not going to take. The thing about this jungle matchup, though, is that it doesn't get any easier, right? We saw they invade, and you were talking about how much it pulls the lanes to this jungle matchup, the jungle 1v1, to both teams want to win it more. It's not better at one item, it's not good at 2 items, it's not good at 3 items. The Trundle will beat Xin Zhao the entire portion of the game, and Xin Zhao's job here is to play these team fights, right? To provide space and a bunch of frontline and time for his carries, which these carries do a lot of damage. Buy time for his carries to do damage, but some Protoss flash here.
Play coming through onto Sushi, shuffle back away from Shochi, and there's the wall bang from Protoss. They don't quite connect the Azir ultimate with the Poppy charge, but they make it happen. They get him closer to a different wall. They slam him into that one, and they do come up with the kill onto Sushi. Good move by Team B to make the play, but here's going to be an exchange right back. Mini going to be able to find that shockwave to lock down Shochi and turn it into a 1-for-1 play. Short lane, not going to be too safe for Shochi this time.
Good synergy from Team A, but I'm really confused as to why Sushi was even in the mid lane to begin with. Why do you want to be against an Azir with no flash, right? Sushi used his flash, got that first blood earlier, And even if you didn't know that Azir doesn't have ult, or sorry, does have ult, maybe you weren't checking the level 6, which is not acceptable at this level, right? You need to know Azir has ult, be careful. Just walks up very aggressively in a lane he probably shouldn't be in. It's taken down, but I will say, Minui and Fire Mini, very good synergy with that shockwave. Catches Shochi very easily. Dragon will go over to Team A as the jungle Prio continues to run rampant in this game. Grub spawning in a minute. Would love to see a lane swap here, put Kaiser up to the top, but these ADCs want to go mid really early.
Yeah, I don't mind the shift to mid too much when you have the flash blown from Sushi already from that bot lane exchange, but like you said, it's dangerous stuff up against the Azir, and they're able to find the play. At least they make it a 1-for-1 by clapping back up against Shochi on the other side, but now they're going to rotate back, it appears. They're actually sending Sushi up towards the top side. The lane assignments from Team A, I think, have been quite good throughout these 2 games, and again, you don't know who exactly is driving it, but the narrative in my head really wants to make me praise Manui for this. He does really think about this stuff quite frequently, and the fact that he is in the support position has kind of a little bit more of a bird's eye view of things, and he's constantly trying to roam around, trying to put Sushi in the best situation possible.
In the games that I've seen, as Grand Entrance will hit
double.
Shockwave too.
Yeah, gets the Shockwave onto both after a great Grand Entrance setup. Kryra here as well. Everybody falling low, but will they be able to pick up any of the kills? Nearly going to be able to actually take down Kryra there. But Subjugate going to do its work to be able to regen his health just a little bit more. Enthralled has shown up to back them up. So Ariana going to be alone to the bottom lane. An attempted shuffle from Shochi, not going to find its way through. And Hoarder is cut off from actually reaching the team as he slams into the Azir wall. A little bit of a non-bow there, but they're going to try to convert this over into the grub. Some of the heal coming through from Manui, trying to keep everybody topped off. Protoss going to be the first one to be shut down. Sushi with the ultimate ticking, but they will be able to take down 5 Mini first and foremost. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Ariana coming over to rejoin with the fight. The health bars are in the favor of Team A. Another pillar comes down, flash over the wall. Manui gets the lockdown onto Enthralled, and Kryra will be the one to execute him. Ariana flashing for a knockup as well, blocks the shuffle from Shochi, and 2 more will fall the way of Team A.
And this support is someone to keep your eyes on. This Rakan has been so impactful in this early stages of this game. Protoss tries and engage, but trades himself 1-for-1. It looks worth it. It's not, unfortunately. Beautiful roam up. Here comes the ult.
All right, Ariana getting a little funky with it, going to end up giving one back there. That was a many-numbered play on the opposite side, but it will be 2 grubs, and the majority of them, therefore, picked up by Team A off the back of their team fight win. And they do get gold where they want it. They got 2 kills onto Sushi now. They get a kill and, or 2 kills rather, onto Kryra. And they are well on their way to being able to scale into this game. And I do want to call out once again, I mean, Fi Mini, what a tremendous lead individually he's got himself now.
Trundle is a pick in pro play that starts off with this dueling playstyle, but transitions a lot more into the slow and the pillar stun and obviously shredding protections away from tanks, right? And I think that looking at Kryra's last game where he's going lethality Jarvan was a red flag to me, right? Maybe it's for fun, but I mean, Sundered Sky is the best item in the game in my opinion, and not going that on a champion that builds it just so well, I was a bit worried. But looking at this game, it's a very different style. Despite the 2 kills, the 2 assists, even then, forces the flash out of Enthralled with the pillar, allows Minui to continue going and find the Grand Entrance knock-up. It's a very more, a much more supportive style from this Trundle in these team fights, which is really good to see.
Really good move as well by Ariana to be able to block back the shuffle from Shochi and prevent him from being able to use the mobility of the Azir, create a little bit more security. He will have the flash back up soon, which should give him the power to be able to farm up with a little bit more security. For right now, he's got to get covered by Protoss to prevent any kind of dive from coming in onto him. Could make life very, very difficult. Protoss going to get spotted out here, does get the steadfast presence to knock back Manui and prevent a Grand Entrance from connecting. Ariana moving up towards the top side, just getting back into the laning phase, up against Hoarder. Got a little bit of peace for the time being as we wait for the next dragon to spawn, but that should be coming up here in just about 40 seconds, so not too much of a wait now.
These top laners just farming damage against each other, man. It's all fake damage. You look at the stats at the end of the game. See, guys, I did something. No, you were just smacking each other with healing all game, but obviously this matchup will be more about the team fights. That's what you're picking Rek'Sai for. You know, we were talking about that in draft. You're not going this, you know, carry counter matchup in the Gwen or the Mbessa, you know, opting for this team fighting. I will say that Team A so far have had a really solid control of the map, and that's kind of what Rakan affords you. You know, the answer into Rakan is catching him out when he's trying to be sneaky, when he's trying to set up this vision before he can dash back to his team. Poppy does a great job of that, but so far I haven't seen Protoss trying to actively seek out this Rakan, catch him on these deep roams from Minui. Second Dragon will be started up here, and looks like Team B can't quite get in.
Quite yet.
And there's the sneaky.
In here, found by Munchie. He will not look to chase any further, though. Minui is able to jump back over the wall. Second Dragon, though, nice secure from Team A, keeping themselves up in the Dragon game. Ocean Soul going to be the prize this time around, and I think that will serve them in this composition a lot better than the Cloud Soul did in game number 1. TP being channeled by Ariana. He is going to be in the midst of many members of Team B. Will they look for a dive up against Rek'Sai, though? Void Rush, very helpful for being able to get out of these. They do get the stun up into the wall. He's not going to be able to channel in time. Finally goes into it. Crescent Guard's already been thrown down. Redemption is too late, and Shochi will finish the kill. Meanwhile, Sushi and Enthralled exchanging blows in mid lane, and it's Enthralled coming out on top. Sushi looking for more. Flash forward from Enthralled. He will be able to make the trade. Kryra going to hunt him down, though. I think Kryra going to be able to even this out.
I mean, the bait forward from Sushi was good, but not enough HP to work with that mid lane play. You do trade 1 for 1, but Kai'Sa getting kills feels pretty bad on the dive on the bot side. Very well played. Ariana, no counterplay really, just too much CC, too much damage with this Azir as well, and Horda TP's in just to make certain we'll base and lose a bit of gold in the top lane, as Fine Mini opted to stay in that top lane, no TP, so couldn't make a roam down. But yeah, touching on this Ocean Soul, Rek'Sai, great champion for this. Trundle, amazing champion for Ocean Soul, and Sion too. Obviously, you're a while away from getting that, but still worth pointing out. Now we've got both of the bot lanes in the mid lane, plates falling off just now. Flowers, not the most spawn right now, but Anakan has been put up in the top lane, and this has been a contentious objective. There will be the Herald in the next minute, but this Anakan has been the kind of do or die for teams, and I know that there's been a lot of discourse about whether or not it should be a do or die situation for teams. A lot of teams end up losing the game due to the shred that Anakan does to you, especially to your backline as well. It can be hard to dodge out some of the Anakan abilities. I also want to talk about some of these builds here. Fine Mini on the burn build. I think Leandries makes a ton of sense this game, but there's a lot of dive, a lot of damage on the other side, so maybe Roa and Seraphs would have been a good choice too, but up against the Sion, can't fault him for wanting to go the Leandries.
Yeah, I do want to call out, I mean, Fine Mini went for the Roa build last game, so adapting based on who he's facing off against here. Do love to see our prospects not auto-piloting the same build every game. We'll see if that anti-tank setup going to support him a little bit more here as he looks to apply that double burn.
Whoa.
There's going to be an engage found by Ariana. They do not get the follow-up of the Shockwave, and it's a step forward from Munchie. Minui falling lower and lower. Turret shot going to find its way onto him. Shockwave did connect onto 3, but the follow-up from Sushi was not in position quite yet. They do manage to finish off Enthralled. Into the backline goes Ariana, but not going to be able to finish it off, and now here comes Hoarder. Sushi going to have to dodge away from the unstoppable onslaught, but there's going to be a flash shout to slow him up and knock him down. Hoarder cleans up the kill.
And the Keeper's verdict, not used, but Poppy still finds so much value in these fights, right? Even without ult. Has it just in case the engage goes badly, but it's the ground that does so much work onto this Rakan, this matchup, that I mean, we're talking about, right, does a lot of work. And Minui goes too deep, and Ariana goes deep again, and it's a massive overcommit from Team A. They're in a great position. I don't understand this dive. Herald is spawning. You've got mid-prio. You're winning mid-prio by rotating most of your team into the mid lane. You've got 2 Drakes. You're in a great spot to continue scaling, getting 2 items on your Yunara, getting this Leandries that we were just talking about onto Orianna. And instead, everyone gets a bit anxious, goes for a big dive, and now we've evened up the gold lead. 5 Mini just showing off that he can work with these other builds. Should be completely safe here, but yeah, that's a pretty easy solo kill.
Yeah, perhaps disrespecting the amount of CDR that Blackfire plus Lucidity Boots actually gives you, and assuming that the Shockwave would still be on cooldown, but He has it, and he uses it to great effect there. Here comes Rift Herald charging on through. They will be able to interrupt it with the Trundle Pillar, and that's going to be a nice and easy punish onto Protoss. Not advisable to hop into the Herald up against that Trundle, and he will be able to finish him off. That is a rampage for Kryra. Quickness pop by Manui. He wants to try to get some more here. Flash away from Munchie will make that decision a smart one.
Could have used the Crescent Guard to knock away Minui. I don't think he needed to flash there. Did have the ult available, and teammate continuing forward.
A little bit of an engage onto Kryra here, but he's got Subjugate down. He's strong enough to keep this going. Now has to flash away as Hoarder arrives to the scene. Manui going to do his best to get that disengage, but ooh, the Acathian Rain is enough to finish off Manui. Good node of the execution threshold there for Enthralled. Sushi doing his best to return fire, but it does look like that's just going to be a nice and easy pickup for Team B. So there's going to be a Shockwave thrown down onto Hoarder once again, really trying to keep the damage up there from Phi Mini, and he's just going to take the turret for 3 shots to be able to take it down.
He forgot the burn, I guess. Kept him under aggro, but honestly, so far, Gordo, this game has been kind of back and forward seesaw throws, you know? I'm not really sure what that Herald was for. I agree, getting in the Herald is not advised, especially when there's a Trundle on the other side, right? It seems like a very telegraphed thing and a big mistake from Team B. Protoss gets caught, but Steadfast Presence will keep him alive. Dragon has spawned.
Fight eventually breaking out here. Sushi going to be chunked out low before the fight even really begins in earnest. Front line on the opposite side. Manui throws himself in, but he does not have the backup of the rest of the team. Ariana doing his best to dodge away, but can't get over the wall. 2 kills back over to Team B, and that's the second fight in a row where Team A feel like they just are on different pages about where they're at in the engage.
Yeah, not everyone was around as well, so they're late to contest the Drake. And then Protoss gets a nice flash in, has the TP spellbook now to base and then come back. He should be able to do that, or even maybe save the TP. It looks like he's not going to opt to use it right now. But that's a Drake over to Team B. That's a situation where, you know, we talk a lot on cast about how valuable dragon stacking is. And you really can see the reason there. There's a lot of towers in the top lane. You could have opted to, with your 2 dragons, sit on those stacks, go for some big golden top lane on your Orianna, on your Yunara. Instead, walking in late with not your entire team into champions like a Poppy, champions like an Azir, like a Zinzao. Very difficult to... Shockwave will catch.
Shockwave in on towards Protoss. I do think they'll be able to finish him off here. Manui will not let that man escape, but here comes Munchie trying to get the fight started off. They get into Phi Mini onto the back line. It's a nice engage from Enthralled. I don't know if he'll be able to walk this one out, though. Flashes away at just a sliver of HP. Shoshi fishing for a big shuffle, but it's spaced out by Sushi, who will continue to rain down hell, able to dash out to safety with the help of his team. Munchie can't get the job done, and it is a double kill back over to Sushi, and there's Ariana hunting down Enthralled, finding him with the Tremor sense. This is Otacon for Team A.
I mean, these players are so bloodthirsty. It's been non-stop fighting this entire game. This time, a great fight from Team A. They are all on the same page. They know what the setup is. There is decent vision. We're going to go for this play. Minui can, you know, get out due to the fact that, you know, Rakanus has so much mobility. He gets the 1 kill. Then Team B get a bit hasty, overcommit, and Sushi, just an outstanding fight spacing-wise. I think that Shochi, it's one of these things where you see these pro players make amazing Azir plays and amazing shuffles, but more often than not, it's more valuable to sit there and hit because Azir just does so much damage and instead goes in, misses the shuffle, and then is in the fray among many members, taken down very quickly. And Otacon going over to Team A. Would love a flower check if we could get that. Which spectator would add that? Sushi, maybe caught, but should be able to get out. Doesn't have flash or ghost available, so he's being chased out. Should allow Team B to get the tower, but Team A is responding with some members in the mid lane. Will give over the tower, put down an Azir turret of his own from the Shochi, and get some of this much needed vision in the jungle.
Sushi going to try to clear clear out this wave, but does need to keep his distance while the rest of the team is coming over to try to support.
Wow.
Nice quick take of the inner turret for Team B. Like the fast play from them here to be able to get a little bit more of an injection back into their comp. Shochi looking for it all. Massive shuffle onto Phi Mini, and they get Sushi off of it as well. What a play by Shochi. He survives it all. 3 for 0, Team B.
Sometimes the shuffles don't work and you lose the fight, but sometimes, Gordo, you find so many important members. Beautiful flash as well from Shochi at the last second to make sure that he gets on top of Team A and back in the driver's seat. After the Atacon was taken, the fight was lost. Team B on the back foot, but break open 2 towers and win a beautiful fight on the back of Shochi.
A back-breaking team fight there. Team B, that's the kind of play that wins you games, and that is what makes Shochi so special. The willingness to keep on trying for those big-time plays, even when it has bitten him previously in this very game. Pause going to come on through, so everybody takes a little bit of a breather here. But great move there, great positioning on the map now for Team B. Having taken that dragon earlier, now they're in a spot where they can contest for this, but even if they don't, will not be Seoul.
I love the play from Shoji, to be honest. I mean, looking at the flashes from Team A, both Oriana and Yunara were down, so Shoji very confident to step up there, and that just shows me, you know, good team communication, good tracking of summoner spells. Very nice seeing a timer where, hey, these guys can't do this. They're not allowed to walk here. We've got a tower. We have control, and it's our turn to walk forward. So Shoji punishes teammate. Team A are still on 2 Drakes, which is important. It's going to take quite a while for Team B, like you said just then, to stack up these Drakes, and you can give it this Drake as Team B, you know, waiting for your 3rd item as Kai'Sa, waiting for your 3rd item as Azir. These are massive, massive spikes. I assume it's going to be the the Nash's pickup for the Kai'Sa, and maybe Zonya's or Rabadon's for this Azir. So big items coming in that you're waiting on. On the other side, you are also waiting on some big items, right? You're going LDR for Sushi. You could go anything here for Fire Mini, but I assume that it would be a Rabadon's as well. Has most of your burn in tow. Could also be some pen. A Void Staff would go really nice here. But yeah, either team could opt to give, but God, this game has been fighting from front to back, so I expect both teams to look to fight.
Yeah, I mean, I question whether Team B is even actually going to show up to this dragon. Shochi is flashless. He will have ulti back by then, but he will be without the teleport as well. He does get the wave reset. Phi Mini going to be able to answer up the top side, so maybe they do rock up here and see if they can keep this momentum going in their favor. Phi Mini going to have to expend that TP then to be able to join up, but first visit to the river is from Manui. They are going to try to establish some positioning here. They definitely want to get themselves onto this soul point for Team A.
What feels bad is that due to not the best setup, as Protoss is nearly caught, but nice bomb plant will get him away. The setup isn't great, so the cross map is not there. You'd love to be on this tier 2 tower right now, and yes, Horder is pushing up, but he won't be able to get that by himself. Looks like Team B are positioning to try to recontest the vision. Very tough, but you do have a Scion to help walk in late. That ult is very impactful, and I mean, you know, I agree, maybe the cross map is a good call, but Team B want the fight.
Ariana using that tremor sense for the team, trying to keep eyes on where people are grouping up. Not going to have the exact information on who it is, but now they know, as they did get clear, very good vision there on towards Shochi. They know that it's the Azir over there. Everybody now grouping up on the opposite side. There's going to be a big flank angle available for Manui if he's able to avoid Protoss. Going in deep on the opposite side, using that control ward. He does get spotted out by Munchie, but the Dragon already down to about half HP, and now you do have engage opportunities from both sides. Ariana coming in on the top flank, Manui on the bottom. Dragon falling lower, will be secured by the side of Munchie, thanks to a double punt out from Protoss. And they're not even going to be able to find a fight off the back of it. Manui not giving up, but the angle is not going to present itself. Good job collapsing ranks, keeping your angles covered from Team B, but Manui going to send it in anyway. Flashes right in to avoid getting knocked back by the steadfast presence, but he just gets executed by Enthralled. And again, the rest of Team A not on the same page, not in position. Protoss flashes in, finds Fi Mini, double kill to Enthralled, interrupt onto Ariana from the second steadfast presence of the fight, and 3 members of Team A going to bite it off this botched team fight. Diving into the backline onto Sushi is Shochi, has the backup of Enthralled, happy to trade his life for this one, because this should just close out the game. Team B get another team fight, and that should be all she wrote.
A dragon that doesn't even really matter for the game at all, but it's the fight. Massive kills going over to Team B as they break open the tower and look to end.
Yeah, it's going to be Manui respawning nice and early, still only level 10, trying to hold the line. It's so early into the game that the respawns are going to come through here before too long. Finally, up in 2 seconds. The second Nexus turret's already fallen. Everybody up in the front line. Hoarder's going to have the zombie mode too. They can't stop this. Team B, even the odds, tie up the series at 1-1, and it's going to come down to game number 3 to see who reigns supreme on the day, Javetto.
I mean, we've got to talk about that engage from Minu at the end. I think that Team A have full control over not only the Dragon Pit, but majority of the river as well. Protoss walks in very telegraphed with his Keeper's Verdict, starts channeling. You have a ton of tools to interrupt that. Pillar, Shockwave, Minui. When you see the Keeper's Verdict start channeling, that Rakar needs to be in there, sacrificing himself to get the engage going, because Steadfast Presence can no longer be activated, right? Instead, 2 very important members get pushed out, one of those being the Trundle that is really important in these fights, taking out protections from the Scion, putting the Pillar down and making it very difficult for Team B to play the match. And the Dragon goes over. It feels like that should be the end, but instead, Protoss is able to find a great engage. Team A maybe a bit annoyed about losing the Drake. They take the fight and end up losing the whole game.
Yeah, I think they felt like their setup was just so good, right? You have Ariana coming in from the blue side jungle, and you have Manui coming in from the opposing red side jungle. It should be very difficult for Protoss to cover both of those angles, but they just can't put the pieces together. The idea from Manui to flash with quickness to avoid the steadfast presence is a good one, but the rest of the team is not on board. They don't have Fi Mini to make a shockwave connect off of that charm. They don't have Sushi there to be able to follow up with the DPS, and so Manui just gets one shot, and they're picked apart at the seams for the rest of the team fight off of a really nice engage found by Protoss. Solid play on the Poppy. Gotta give the SARS back to Shochi for that massive engage in and around the mid-inner turret. That really set them up to just be able to close out this game. Completely backbreaking play that shut Team A out.
I mean, this is kind of the thing with Rakan, is when you are playing this champion, you are on top of the world mobility-wise. You can go so far, so quick, it's so snappy. The problem is your team has to be there. And sometimes you forget your team, which is Orianna, completely immobile, Trundle, completely immobile, Yunara, mostly immobile, cannot gap close anywhere near that quickly, if at all. So you send it very far in, and then, I mean, the members of Team A trying to catch back up to how fast Minui was going, get caught trying to pull themselves out. And that's a devastating fight, because 2 dragons is great, lose 1 is okay. It's unfortunate that the Keeper's Verdict was able to land and you weren't able to punish that, but losing the entire game off of only 2nd dragon for Team B has to sting.
For sure. Well, with that established, we're going to find out what draft for game number 3 looks like and which team is going to come out with the 2 wins on the day for bragging rights, if for nothing else. This is the final day of the Combine. You definitely want to end it on a positive note. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into draft for game number 3, but we will see everybody after that break for one more game of League of Legends tonight.
moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
She's such a misfit, always ready to brawl. It's like her business, roughing up your friends is the law. There is no difference if you believe you're strong. She's a bulldozer, making sure you're flat on the ground. She's like a boomerang that never gives up. She flies in circles so she hits you when you're bowed in the dust. So just remember this, when she's chasing you down, face first, you'll be thrown into the proving ground. She'll knock you out. Have you ever really wanted to be a total rebel, flipping tables on the enemy? Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time when you thought brute force and style combined? Well, I guess now's time to shine, 'cause finally she's here. Here comes Vine. As a matter of fact, the best bet one has is to quickly react to the first attack and say before the bullets. She'll never go back, just resist. Have you ever really wanted to be a total rebel, flipping tables on the enemy? Did you ever try to further improve how fast you punch people through the roof? Oh, was there ever any certain time when you thought brute force and style combined? Well, I guess now's time to shine, 'cause finally she's here. Here comes
Call down the reckoning, bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
涙よ星に瞬きを伝えて守るものがあるからきっと強くなれる語るべき言葉なくした星の守りでは時の果て夢の果て闇に立ちすくんだ風を呼んでみたんだ空に向けて誰かを呼んでみたんだ光求めたソリチュードかすかなレゾナンス確かに届くロマンスそんな流れ星たちを抱き留めた明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Glory High
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Cedo Combine. Draft is already underway, already completed, in fact. And, I mean, our eyes have to be drawn to one place here, Jay Beto. Eat your heart out, Ablaze Olive. Rengar support
Yep.
locked in for Manui.
I mean, look, on a real note, it's the last game of this combine. We're having a bit of fun. I'm going to talk about why Rengar support can work. It can be very dominant in lane. It's very good against a lot of the squishy champions on Team B. Obviously, the R does grant vision, so it has interactions with that. But I think more or less, Minui just wants to have some fun, play something a little bit different. And, I mean, who can blame him? This has been going on for quite a while, a couple of weeks here, so have some fun. Over on Team B side, there will be some fun as well. Kiana. Haven't seen that in a couple of games that I've been casting. Haven't seen a whole lot of Kiana. It's been tearing it up in Worlds. If you're a Kiana main, you know, especially over in the LPL. All right, the Ambessa actually, just getting updated, is actually an Ornn. So, no fun being had for Horde here. Back on another tank. Won't be able to get that on the way. But the Nico, very, very dominant and strong support. I was going to say there's no tanks. There's one, but there should still be a lot of fighting in this game. We've got a lot of damage from every role.
Absolutely here. And we're going to find out just how powerful this Rengar support can be with its ability to scout out using the ultimate. Also does bring a lot of combat power into the early game. I'm curious how it's going to work as like a kind of counter pick to what is normally a pretty aggressive Nico Caitlyn lane. Caitlyn loves these line-based root champions that she can kind of snowball on top of with the traps, but Rengar jumping from the bush to get right onto your face, going to disrupt that game plan just a little bit. Going to be a little bit of a weaker side setup here for Mr. Ariana this game, as he is piloting that Ornn rather than the Ambessa. Order going to be piloting that Rumble, and the Kiana pick that we have not gotten to see yet today for Munchie. Very exciting stuff for him as well, to be able to bust out one of these assassins.
I mean, this is, I don't know, you know, how much stock do you take in what I'm about to say? Probably not a whole lot, but I haven't seen a whole lot of Rengar support. I know that there is, you know, some whispers, some rumblings about it, but I did see some Hamza actually playing with a Korean, I think it was the Korean Rumble support player, and he was playing Ezreal. It looked really dominant. It provided a ton of space, pushed back the enemy bot lane, allowed this Ezreal to do a whole lot of damage, and basically free cast in the lane. So, you know, not too sure about how Rengar's support pairings go with other AD carries, but Ezreal seems to be quite a good one. I imagine we're going to see a whole lot of roaming from Minui this game, which he's been amazing at. I think the Bard in the first game was great. The last game, it wasn't the best on the Rakan, but there were some great moments. Obviously, that insta-loss at Drake, you know, wasn't the most desirable outcome, but I'm excited for this last game here. The last game of the entire Combine. Just put all the cards on the table and have some fun.
Absolutely here. That said, party in the bot lane. We get the flex picks taken down there once again. It's another game of Caitlyn. This time, though, it is in Thrall's hands. And I called out that I wanted to see these supports take some of the flex picks into their own hands. Rengar was not on my list, but I love to see it from Manui. Always willing to push the envelope a little bit more. Yeah, I think the thing that I most associate with Manui is his long tenure as a bot laner rather than a support, where his signature picks were things like the Seraphine, right? Playing the less standard picks for the role. Seeing him convert that over to support, where I think he has even more flexibility to play some of the more different picks. I'm very excited, and I think it's a great sign for him as he continues to get more comfortable in the support position. Recall, he's only got one NACL split under his belt for support. Only just role swap this year, and then you know, unfairly, I would argue, ended up out of the NACL. Certainly should have been in the league this split around. I think it was a clear top 3 support. Hopefully, we'll be back for 2026.
And obviously, conversation that we can have about a lot of these players, right? The 26th season, there's a lot unknown. I know that there's some structure format changes happening in multiple regions, LCP, LCS being back. 5 minute. Takes about half his HP. Should be able to get away. Doesn't have to flash or pop a pot. This is kind of exactly what I was saying at the beginning of Game 2, where you're caught here at the beginning of the game. It's enough time that as long as you don't flash or use a pot, you should just be able to walk away base and be completely fine. Sometimes you're wanting to get out a different ability. So for 5 minute, he did have to go to W, I believe. So should make the lane much harder for the first level until level 3, and then he'll have all his abilities and should be fine after that. But will make the lane for Shochi just a bit better in the beginning of this game.
And now, starting off on this top side, going to be an attempted invade here from Kryra. Once again, he will find Munchie, going to get the first swing off, and both players immediately aware that this trade will favor Wukong at level 1. So Munchie going to get pushed out of his jungle and have to start on his bottom side.
That does feel a little bit awkward. Good invade here being started for Team A. And shutting down the Kiana, pretty good start, pretty good strategy. I think that Kiana has the potential to really take over in a squishy game. And I don't think I've casted a Rengar game at all. So I'm excited to see what Minui can do. He has electrocute as well, so he's looking very aggressive. But 5 minutes getting aggressive.
He doesn't have the W. He can't clear the wall. He doesn't want to blow his flash, but he does have Shochi in a dicey situation. There goes Shochi's flash. So he will end up having to blow the summoner, and it's a nice little victory, spending a couple of moments from your early clear to get that summoner off of the mid lane.
Should have lost a bit of XP there too, so despite the rough start for 5 minute, roam down from Kryra makes it feel a bit better, but 5 minute is not having a good time in this lane. Orianna, one of the strongest lane champions at the moment, really doesn't get punished by anything. Well, hold on.
Really low health bar here for Hoarder. Ariana going to open up the torch onto him. Minui trying to get in there and steal away some camps. Will be forced to flash and heal out to safety. And these two top laners really going at it here. I do think Ariana in a rough position right now. The base damages of the Ornn must be respected. Nice catch from Munchie with the ice element on the 5 mini, and first blood will go to Team B.
Yeah, so far Team B winning everywhere. The Orianna pushing mid, very, very strong. Ends up finding that kill. And the force of the flash in the top lane. Oh, hold on. Sushi finding some fight back here. Does force the flash. Barrier comes out as well from Sushi. There's a flash out.
Ooh, and Sushi will find the execution. That's going to be enthralled. Dropping down in the one-on-one. TDS called out before he left that Ezreal was the champion that he most associated with Sushi, and Sushi putting up numbers to start things off in this game number 2.
We're getting something comfortable. Feels really good. It's, it's a discussion that can be had about things like a combine, a scouting ground, or even if you're doing tryouts, right? What do you want? Do you want to show off that you're a very flexible player that can play lots of things consistently, not star-studded, on these champions? Or do you want to show off that you're really good and really comfortable at a few champions? In Fearless, maybe being amazing at 1 or 2 champions isn't the strongest part, but I think it's still really strong to show off how good you can be on 1 or 2 champions and pick me for this reason. And I'll have to see if Sushi can continue to provide that later on in this game. I think that Minui is part of that discussion too. I mean, what did he play? Swain support the other day when I was casting for him. So these players as well, actually, sorry, on Team A. And it was the Lethality Jarvan from Kryra. They're willing to get creative.
For certain. And it will be quite a treat if we get to see a little bit more aggression coming through from Kryra once again. I do think he'll stick with a more traditional Wukong build this time around. We'll get the more assassin action from the side of Munchie and perhaps from Minui this game, although Kryra already in his way bottom, or rather Munchie, and a walk into the trap for Minui will cost him his life. Enthralled picks up his first of the game.
That's pretty tilting for sure. That's a bit unlucky. Probably didn't even know that the trap was there. Unfortunately, the Rengar very squishy, so it does a whole lot of damage, very front-loaded kind of champion. And this is the kind of thing with, you see discussion about Elise all the time. When you play Elise in support, and that has had its time, especially with Caitlyn. It is a great champion at level 3. One of the best level 3 supports in the entire game, and its diving potential is amazing. But it will fall off so heavily As Munchie takes a visit in mid. Minui just solo killing right now, but has to walk away over the roam from Protos. Keeps him alive, but yeah, these kind of glass cannon squishy supports that do either a ton of damage or have some really strong lane interactions with the dives from Elise and the vision from Rengar will end up falling off later. You basically become a vision bot and a little bit of CC as well. The damage just won't be there later on.
And now with this early game starting to pull in the direction of Team B, we got to see how the response from Kryra is going to look. They're going to try to set up a play here on towards Protoss, and they basically one-shot him. It was not that low HP Orin, that was a full HP Nico, but it does not matter. And now Enthralled in a 1 versus 3 will be executed as well. They do make the cross-map trade on the top side, but look at where the waves are. This is going to be huge for Team A.
It's very scrappy, like we were talking about in draft. These teams, all these players, they're probably a bit over this now at this point. You know, they just want to have some fun. They're fighting. Still a very well-executed dive in the bot lane, and we didn't get to see the one in top, but the cross map was there. 2 kills on probably the best place you want it for Team B, however. 2 kills onto this Kiana, plus an assist. Dragon has spawned. Grubs will spawn in a minute. Shockwave will catch.
Nearly going to be able to take down Phi Mini. Will not be able to finish him off. Protoss not able to get in range to be able to make the collapse happen. Still, of course, does not have access to the Pop Blossom. And Manui is here as well. This is where the Rengar support, I assume, having not seen too many reps of it, is at its least useful, is when it's staring down mid lane. Not really a lot of access to the shrubbery there to get good value out of it.
Yeah, it's going to be this roaming playstyle that Minui has been really good at, honestly. Level 6 is an important spike, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this Rengar hovering in the lanes just to get level 6 and then honestly go down many levels to Nico because you don't really need any XP anymore. Obviously, level 11, a great spike getting the 2nd level in ult, but honestly, not that important for supports in general, and especially not this Rengar. But dive being set up in top.
Dive coming on through. That is going to be knockups found by Kryra. And he will be able to finish off Enthralled for the 2nd time. Does have another cast of this Cyclone, and that will allow Sushi to finish off Protoss. That's another quick 2-0 brought on by a well-timed gank from Kryra. Move into the mid lane. Nice moves from Munchie to be able to get this stun up against the wall, but Phi Mini going to be able to jump away, going to have the flash, have the weirding, and he will survive.
Has CP as well, so should be able to get back to that lane as long as his base isn't cancelled, but well-executed dive. Very patient, it looked easy, to be honest. And that's, obviously, we know dives are not easy. They dive the first time. Minui uses heal to get out, saves his flash, then they wait for the tower to ramp down before rediving with the 2nd cast of the Cyclone, and it's a super easy 2 kills. Now, 3 grubs as well, going completely uncontested to Team 8. Porter maybe caught onto the tower, takes a big chunk of damage from Ariana on the Rumble. Does have ult if he wants to continue going. There it is.
Chase down this Ornn. Equalizer layered down on top. Ariana gonna need a flash away. He does it. Porter will not connect Call the Forge God, and this should be a solo kill for Ariana as soon as Flame Spitter is back up. Solo Bolo to the top later.
Bit of an overcommit there from Horda. Wanted some plates, but Flash and Equalizer available for Ariana, whereas Flash for Horda was not available. Definitely would have been able to get out, but mechanically outstanding from Ariana to flash that ult and ends up securing himself a nice solo kill. It'll be a bit harder later on when the MR starts stacking up, but we're a while away from that Kanik Rooken and a while away before Horda starts to feel a little bit at ease in this lane. Dragon, however, I mean, it still hasn't been taken, Gordo.
Nope. Not really the priority here when there's so many kills to be had for both sides, and both have been successful at it, 2 apiece for each jungler. And already having rotated up towards the top side, they are not quite able to get that dragon, or at least fit it into their busy schedules. But the 3 grubs over to Team A, and now they do know that this is Protoss. Kryra saw him shift. Huge damage comes through from the 3-level advantage Kryra, and an early flash forced out of Protoss.
Oh, 4 on this Nico, I believe. And Minui is level 6. He's leashed a whole lot more XP, and there's not an ADC lead for Enthralled to even that out a little bit. Protoss ages away from the ult, unfortunately. Used flash as well, so this Nico is dead useless right now. Team A will understand that, take the dragon for themselves. Minui in mid misses the root, so this will not continue out as Munchie in tow to help out a bit of a push here. Force Shochi. Grubs have been secured already, so we're waiting on the next objective is the Herald. No cross map here. Shockwave will clear the wave, but really nice play from Team A.
Yeah, he's coming around on the flank. Munchie going to go for this dive, finds his way onto Phi Mini, and will knock him right into the wall with the supreme display of talent. Quick pick up there. Munchie gets his third of the game. Kryra going to look to equalize as he approaches Shochi, but knows that Munchie is waiting in the wings. He cannot pull off that 1 versus 2. Now gets his opportunity. Comes in with the stealth flash immediately from Shochi, but Kryra can match if he wants. Chooses not to, and they will simply settle for pushing that Orianna back and claiming that summoner.
I'm really surprised. I think that's a mistake. Shochi has no flash. Obviously, you force the flash and no shockwave. That is a kill easily for Kryra, but instead keeps his flash and ult available. Wants to instead set up some vision around the top side, and Kryra just goes to clear Raptors. I'm not sure if Team A are all on the same page here. This should be a dive, and Team A now overextended.
Oh, flash away, but everything still connects. Ace in the hole will put down Minui's Rengar. And now coming in through the mid lane, this is Protoss looking for a big old Pop Blossom. Pops the Summoner heal, channels the ultimate, knocks up Phi Mini, and nowhere left to go. It's Rabbit season in the mid lane. Team B coming alive as they pick up 2 quick kills.
And very good answers from, hold on, very nice. Is he dead?
Ooh,
Nice
Sushi.
barrier. Really good play.
Yeah, I mean, he just cannot be stopped in this one-on-one. Really solid 1v1 from him there. Can he get away, though, or at least execute himself? He just gives the shutdown to Enthrall.
It's tough, but it's another dive happening down here in the bot lane. Tower's going to fall first.
Gonna knock down the turret. Will be able to do so. Now chasing on towards Hoarder. Kryra low on HP, now with nowhere left to go. Shochi will hunt him down, going to be able to execute the top laner. Now looking to keep this fight going. Conqueror stacked up. Nice shockwave from Shochi. Will make it into a 1-for-1. Now Ariana has to escape Protoss. He does have a 4-level lead, though. And Minui coming to back him up, looking to cut down the Chameleon. A double kill to Ariana. He evades the supreme display of talent, but Munchie's just too strong. A double kill to the Kiana.
Oh my god, it's not clean at all from either teams, but man, they are fighting and they're showing some mechanical prowess as the dive does go well, at least for the tower, but Kryra overcommits a bit too early. Hoarder nearly finds the 1-for-1, does enough damage there to get low, and Munchie just cleans up house. I think that, I want to talk about that top lane play a little bit. Kryra, as a pause does come through here. Kryra, it really feels like he needed to be there, needed to either punish the Orianna, no flash, no ult with his own flash, or use that timer to invade and set up the dive in top. Instead goes Raptors and then invades the camp and then kind of falls short in the dive himself, and the bot side allows Munchie to come over. Now 5-0 on this Kiana. And if there's any character in the game right now, any champion in the game that you want this lead on, it is a Kiana, because this champion does not team fight easily, and you need gold to be effective on this champion. Wukong, one of the complete opposite in this case, where you don't necessarily need a massive amount of gold, you don't need a big lead, you just have ult, you have massive gap close on this champion onto the immobile carries of the, well, almost immobile with Caitlyn, but with Orianna. So I think it's on Munchie. Have to step up this game and really show what you can do on this pick.
Well said. And going to get out of the pause right as you say so. Big moment here for Munchie to be able to show up. One of the few players in this game that have not gotten reps in the NACL yet, and put in a strong position to succeed right here. It's going to be a lot on his shoulders, needing to perform up against Kryra, who is still very strong. Sushi as well, getting 4 kills on this Ezreal in one of those positions where he can evade this Kiana if he plays very, very well, but still needs to find room to output damage.
Well, next dragon is a minute and a half away. And the Herald will spawn in a minute as well. Plates have fallen off, so no longer this Ezreal and the Aurora can get more. Order finds himself in the
He's got
top
a
lane.
pick here on the
Knock up
Phi
that-
Mini. Shochi does
No
not
shockwave.
have the shockwave, so Just a little bit of chunk damage on there. Will be forced to back away. 5 mini below half HP means the likelihood of a big between worlds is significantly reduced. Not too much to fight for here quite yet. 30 seconds to go on the Rift Herald. TP available for 5 mini to rejoin up here if he feels it necessary. Thrill of the Hunt going to be up for Manui here before too long. But control being established by Protoss and Munchie around this top side to make sure that they are going to be the ones who get to start off this Herald. And I think it's going to stay that way. They're trying to retreat back members to be able to show up and represent at this Rift Herald fight, but it's certainly going to be Team B setting up first.
I think Team A might be happy with this, able to collect this mid tower, at least the prior and vision setup around the dragon. Go for some dragon stacking. The cross map is pretty decent, but anyway, walking in, get some vision out, and Team A do break open this early tower, or at least get very low. Should be able to fall here.
Great
Oh, enthralled.
damage to Enthralled.
Whoa.
They basically just one-shot him at range. Beautiful. Hard to even call that a turret dive. It was mostly out of range of the tower as Manui has spotted out Protoss and sectioned him away. But here's the shockwave connecting onto two. Manui nearly going to get one shot, and in fact does get one shot by that supreme display of talent. It is a one-for-one exchange, but it's a marksman for support. Feeling very good about that if you are Team A, still with access to that between worlds from the flanking 5 mini as well. He's going to fall back to the top side to secure that push, and they're going to start the dragon actually, so looking like they want to make it cross-map exchange. Sushi steps up, gets caught by the Pop Blossom, trying to kite it out, does still have the flash, but doesn't want to waste it. He's got no chance in this exchange. Shutdown gold goes to Hoarder.
That is a big mistake from Sushi. Honestly, very disrespectful to walk in there. Your team is getting Drake. You've got a mid tower. You've probably got a bunch of gold that you're sitting on, and face checking 5 members when one of them's a Nico. You're walking into potentially Caitlyn traps. There's a Kiana in there. It's just a very strange decision from Sushi to walk in like that. But I guess a kill over to Team B. Herald as well. Team A will collect that Drake though. So 2 Drakes. It's an Ocean Soul this game. Not the most value in the bursty comp the Team A has, but here comes Cyclone.
Yeah, looking to find this pick onto Enthralled. And it's just been a tough run for him for the last few minutes. Consistently getting picked on. Goes down for the 6th time to even up the scoreboard at 12-12. Only a couple hundred gold separating these two teams. Dragon lead and objective lead in general does still sit with Team A. They are looking for a collapse up on this top side. A very low mana pool for Shochi, but still not with an angle to get on in there. Remember, this is not Jungle Rengar. He's not as dangerous as you might expect. And again, learning about support Rengar in real time, I am surprised to not see the Umbral Glaive here.
Yes. Ghostblade is a bit of an interesting choice from Minui. It's more on the expensive side, but I guess he has some funds spare to build that. Doesn't go the boots first. One of the things here is that both of these supports aren't redemption supports. One of the strongest items in the game. Very like meta warping around support. That's the item that everyone is going, and neither of these champions want to go that, right? Nico, one of the exceptions, and Rengar, obviously an exception too. Not that we see that a whole lot in pro play. Does have boots now, so this Rengar is actually at a pretty good spot. Not jungle Rengar scary, like you said, but honestly, this Rengar is not that far off of like Wukong's build. You know, Kiana with the 6 kills, obviously very far ahead, but 2 items now completed for Krara as he exits the jungle. Or enters the jungle, sorry, and not a whole lot to fight over here. You have Dragon in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Atakan in 2 minutes as well. Not the best Atakan burning comp from either of these teams. You know, you've got Caitlyn and Ezreal. Don't do a whole lot of on-hit damage. Ariana takes Hoarder to about a 2/3 HP there. But yeah, these items starting to be completed by both of these teams. Some important ones. I mean, Ezreal spiking very hard right now with this Essence Reaver and with the Mana Moon completed.
Certainly is. Calling over members now into this bottom river. Still no dragon for a while, but the priority might be defense of this turret. Kryra going to spot Munchie coming on in, going to immediately pop the Cyclone. Supreme Display of Talent comes out to try to create space. Massive Shockwave into a Pop Blossom. It will be a 1-for-1 exchange. It's jumping over the wall. Sushi is able to claim a kill back onto Protoss, but such low health bars given over towards Kryra. Knockup comes through from Hoarder. Paul the Forge God. Ariana going to be the next target. Pumps out the ultimate, but By Mini responds to the big between worlds, catches it onto 3. And Hoarder and Shochi now heading for the hills, getting chased by Sushi on the flank. Sushi shifts over, executes Hoarder. Low health bars for Munchie and Shochi still. Will not be able to hunt down the rest, but Team A, despite the turnaround onto them, clean up more kills in the fight.
I have to say, TDS was right. Sushi looks incredibly comfortable on this Ezreal, but I have to say, what is this fight for? There is no objectives up. Atakan is still not spawned. Even if you wiped the entire team, you wouldn't be able to take it because of how scrappy that fight was. Still a minute now on Drake. No Baron for ages. There is nothing to fight over. You're not even going for an invade. It's just kind of fighting for air. And that's a risky fight for both teams to take. It does go in favor of Team A. Oh my goodness. Shochi nearly gets caught by that True Shot Barrage. Might have had enough damage to take him down. Minui, besides he does.
And he does get the one shot. I mean, hey, one legendary item plus support item does give you enough power to be able to one-shot the Orianna. He does trade 1-for-1, but I think he'll do that all day, every day if he gets the opportunity. The disabling of the ability for the Orianna to farm, plus just the value she brings to the fight. Plenty happy with that for Minui, who's now 1-6 on the support Rengar. Not the fanciest stat line, but not preventing them from taking the lead in this game either.
He's limit testing. He's having a bit of fun. Atakan now has spawned. Drake as well. This would be soul point for Team A if they get it. And some pretty decent positions as well. Look at Kyra hiding in this brush here as base comes through for Hoarder. Doesn't have TP. True Shot Barrage maybe cancels it. No, does not cancel the base. But I think that Team A could start up this Drake right now. They didn't see Hoarder base, so not enough vision here to fully start this. As soon as Minui gets around, presses that ult, but not available just yet. There's an engage. One shot.
Find their way on to Munchie, and he will drop. Well done by Team A to be able to get that guy off of the field, and now they move on towards the Otacon. Going to begin their work on towards it here, and you know, Munchie's off the map. Protoss is on the opposite side. You can see Shochi pushing top. This is free Otacon.
And should be free soul point as well. This is the problem with these kind of glass cannon junglers. When you get a lead, you have a massive lead. Sure, 6-0, 3 items completed for this Kiana, but just absolutely one shot before she even knew what was happening. Minui, he's just playing for some fun. He's just having, he's checking out Rengar's kit, having a bit of fun here, seeing what he can do, but honestly, it doesn't particularly matter at this point, right? Rengar takes another death. It is what it is. He spots the team. Guys, enemies are top side. Go collect some camps in bottom. But it is Atakan and soul point to Team A.
Listen, in League of Legends, there's good deaths, there's bad deaths, and there's whatever that was. Kind of net neutral. I don't know that it was necessarily good. I don't know that it was necessarily bad. Manui's back out. Through the Hunt is back up. You didn't really expend anything. You didn't really gain anything. You can't have given over too much gold because you were 1-6. It is what it is.
He's just going for the high score, you know, on the Cedo Combine. He's seeing how many deaths he can get and still potentially win the game, which is pretty funny. I do think, though, talking seriously about Rengar, I'd have to have a bit of research about Rengar support builds, but Minui may be caught here.
Ooh, going to try to get himself away. There's another death. This one may be more bad than neutral, as they will be without their support for the foreseeable future.
I don't know. It's curious. He has dash and ult. And flash. He could have lived. I know it's maybe a bit risky. You know, you don't want to lose flash, but I'm not sure if that was definitely a bad death. Bad death, good death, and whatever the first one was, that one was a bad one.
Yeah, no, that'll fall into the bad category. You definitely forfeit some control around the map for that one. And look at Munchie trying to get a flank here on towards Phi Mini. Does have Shochi at his back. Phi Mini going to jump away in the stealth, but this does create an opening in mid. Kryra and Sushi begin to work on the inner. They will be able to secure it. That's a long-range ultimate from the likes of Ariana, but Kryra extends way too deep, caught under the turret, and Enthralled is just shooting fish in a barrel. He claims 2, about to be 3, a triple kill to Enthralled. Manui comes out of the base and just dies
my
again.
God.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Team A.
This is the last game of the Cedo. We're having some fun. This is a Cyclo
We
sword
scrubbed this
Ezreal.
one from the records.
Yeah, erase this one out of the stats. Definitely don't want any of this showing up for potential scouters. 5 Mini will be caught, but nice buffer of the weirding will get him away. Yeah, dive tier 3 doesn't feel great. You lose a tier 2, Minui. Very shut out of this game. Kind of similar to last game, but it feels a little bit, I don't know, it feels a little bit more funny this game. I'm sure that these players are having fun, picking some fun champions and running it down just a little bit. I will say, despite that, Sushi, despite that, yeah, aforementioned happy little accident in the mid lane there, has had a real standout game, and so has Ariana. Baron is spawning in about 10 seconds. The Soul will be 2 minutes away, so Minui takes another bit of damage. He's just not allowed to go anywhere right now.
Yeah, I don't want to let Manui's antics take away from what has been a really solid game from Munchie, right? He comes up with those early kills while the game is still closer, while the game is still very, very even, and is able to just retain that amount of control to be able to continue to make picks, to be able to continue to create situations that are favorable to his side. Now looking for another pick, doesn't find the supreme display of talent on Kryra that time, and that cooldown may end up making a difference as Team A not out of this game yet, going to look to try to take some control around this top side.
Also, supreme display of talent doesn't really roll off the tongue very well as a caster, especially when you're saying it quickly. I'm glad I'm not a play-by-play because...
My brother, I complained about this since Kiana came out. You're preaching to the choir here, buddy.
Yeah, we need to get some riot intervention here. We need like an offhand quick thing to say. Protoss doing his best carrier impression here, becoming a wolf. If you've seen that game, that was some disgusting Nico play from carrier. But the Baron has spawned, full vision control for Team B. And Kyra around the back here, very deep. Looks like they might have spotted him on a ward here as he enters, but there is a pinch.
Yeah, looking to be able to make this flank happen. Kryra deep behind enemy lines, as is Manui. Thrill the hunt to be able to spot out some of these opponents. Also going to be plenty helpful for them. He flashes over the wall, or actually gets a flash out
The
of
Cyclone.
Munchie into the back line, going to try to one-shot Enthralled, will be able to do so. The Cyclone's connecting out to the rest of the team. Munchie falling low as well. Manui over the wall, gonna look for the one-shot. Kryra still standing, finally will be taken down by Shochi, but not before 2 members of Team B fall. Now Sushi in the front to back, stepping up. Pop Blossom being channeled, finds its way onto Ariana, but Ariana will be able to get the kill right back. Hoarder and Shochi forced to retreat back away against 4 standing members of Team A. They may be down their jungler, but the Baron is right for the taking. They are going to choose to not risk it and instead get the push in mid and the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, it could have been risky there for Team B. If they lose any more, the game would have just been over. The wave state was pretty decent for Team A there, but don't lose some important members. Orianna, very crucial for wave clear. So instead, we'll opt for the Soul. And as soon as these death timers come out, Gordo, we'll be right back around Baron for a round 2. But I will say, beautiful flank from Kryra. Yes, he falls down very early on, but gets into the backline, takes down Enthralled, and Minui's having some pretty good team fights here, very impactful, and Protoss really hasn't. The Pop Blossom was very, it was a bit useless in that fight. No flash now for this next one, so I'm struggling to see how Protoss can get involved.
Yeah, it's been difficult to find these Pop Blossom angles without posing as something else. I mean, he's in bird mode right now, running around
He's a
as
chicken.
raptor. Yeah, so going to be able to clear out some vision that way, and going to be able to keep himself off the mini map, which is the value.
Very
there.
important, yeah.
Yeah, just going to keep himself running around, seeing if he could find himself a cute little flank here. Could even become the scuttler, if that is something that appeals to him. Instead, fishing around for the time being, throws out a decoy. There is going to be the laydown of the
Whoa.
ultimate, and it's just
Oh
a
my
one-shot onto Enthralled. Beautiful collapse from Team A will cut down the opposing marksman. Now here is a look for the supreme display of talent, trying to one-shot Sushi. Munchie going to be able to do so. Shochi found Manui. Shochi getting onto Mini as well, and more heroics from Shochi could save it, but Mini going to be the one who claps back with the kill, and the regen of the Ocean Soul is starting to come through for the rest of Team A. Here comes Kryra finding the Cyclone onto Munchie. 4 members down for Team B. This time, the Baron is ready for Kryra.
Sushi arcane shifts forward into the supreme display of talent. A little bit too much fun being had on Team A, but the Ocean Soul sustain is just too much. Kryra holds onto Cyclone the entire fight, lands it in some crucial moments, and finds Munchie at the very end of that. Baron finally getting taken by Team A. This is Sol and Baron now. See, do we hold it? Oh, what a tip. Did he get that? Did Sushi get the Baron? If he did, very good team play. I think the death timer was just perfect enough that Sushi did get the Baron. So should be 5 members with Baron now. And Team A looking to close out this one.
Very well positioned now is Team A. After we were clowning on them, after we were saying, hey man, Manui has just gone in and tied 1v5 4 times in a row. It might be a little bit cooked. They pull it back. They find their picks. They get right back onto the game plan of absolutely bullying Enthralled off of Summoner's Rift, and they now find themselves in an advantageous position.
Well, it is Baron on 5. I can see Sushi does have that purple circle underneath his feet. So 5 wearing purple, setting up some top push and potentially some vision as Kryra invades the top side red buff. Team B moving forward, pushing in this mid. They don't want a siege to happen, so this will force some of the bases. No, it won't. Team A opting for the trade. They want to go for a base race potential, and they will win this. That's a really nice equalizer on the wave, so they won't be able to get any more here than just this tower, maybe an inhibitor. And if Minui can sacrifice himself and stop some bases, the game will be over.
Yeah, I mean, I won an LBLCS game this way a couple weeks ago. They're going to try to push this split against Baron, but Manui comes out of the woodwork, one-shots Enthralled, and again, the fact that they have Baron buff on Team A makes this exchange completely impossible. This is gonna be the game. Team A push faster with the buff that makes you push faster. Who could have guessed? Team A sneak the game away.
I want to say some really nice play there from Minui, who just leaves the game as soon as it's over. Aura farming on this support, but yeah, goes in, doesn't even have to sacrifice himself, right? Just denies the recall from Caitlyn, denies the push. Really good equalizer as well. Instantly kills the wave, so Team B have no business being there anymore. They're not able to get the bases off, and that is indeed a 3-10 Rengar winning in a pseudo NACL level match.
1 point to LS, 0 points to Blazalov. Congratulations, Manui, on the competitive Rengar support win. I can't believe that the game ended that way. It boggles the mind. I mean, Manui, great move to be able to get in there and execute Enthralled, don't get me wrong. I think you can let Enthralled recall, though, and I think the result is the same. I think by the time that you have not yet recalled and your inhibitor is falling, this game is just over. I mean, the Baron push is going to let you take so much more, and it was also on the table for them to just, like, take a couple Nexus turrets and back away, worst case scenario, but they're able to rip through these things so fast. It's so late in the game. They have so many items. They're just able to close it out.
It's a very smart macro decision from Team A as well. You know, at the end of the day, we're having fun here, but there are scouters. There are people looking at these games, maybe not necessarily this stream, but we'll be looking at these games in particular and seeing what the players have done, and that's a very important call. Team B make a mistake, and it was I haven't played chess in a while. What's it called? When you, like, a blunder, make an absolute blunder, and Team A see the line, end the game right then and there. So very good to be able to see that mistake, punish it for what it is. And yeah, not going to talk about any, you know, Protoss had a bit of a bad game, whatever. It is what it is. We're done here. We've completed all of our weeks from Cedar. Thank you to all these players for showing up. It's been a blast casting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, highlights to the great performances in that last game. Sushi puts on a masterclass of the Ezreal, a really solid performance from Munchie on the Kiana, really exerting pressure for a long period of time. I mean, there's a couple of botched fights that end up swinging it back for Team A. One or two bad calls can decide the game of League of Legends, but I think all in all, a really firm, solid performance throughout that game number 3 on the Kiana in a tough matchup against, again, one of the top junglers in the Combine. I think definitely a impressive performance to walk away with. But at the end of the day, it's Team A that take the night 2-1. Thank you very much to all the players who have participated, and to everybody at home who has stayed tuned in. Thank you to the scouts, thank you to the coaches, thank you to the TOs, thank you to Saito, thank you to Blue Otter, all of those things, the casters, the producers. We'll put them all on the list there. It's been a hugely successful combine. Excited to find out who makes it to the in-person boot camp out in California, and excited to see hopefully all these players in tier 1, 2, or 3 in 2026. But that is going to do it for our streams here for the combine. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you all next time on the Blue Otter stream.